Hey everybody, today is Tuesday, February 4th, 2026. Welcome to another DMV CBN Comic Book Club. Or today, it's the TV Movie Club because today we'll be talking about Disney Plus's new Wonder Man TV show, made by Marvel Studios. All right, we are so excited to talk about this. But first, I want to shout out all returning viewers and subscribers. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. Also, we'd like to introduce ourselves. I'm your host, Freddie, aka the DMV Comic Book Nerd. I'm 36 years old and I'm from Washington, D.C. And I'd like to introduce my guest today, returning guest and friend of the pod, Trevor. How's it going?
What's up? What's up, Travell, the big boy nerd here. It's really lovely to be here. I'm talking to one of my best boys, especially in regards to critical analysis in the world of comic books and pop culture. So it's truly a privilege and an honor to be on the pod again. I'm looking forward to talking about Wonder Man. I think Wonder Man was monumental, a huge deal. So I'm actually really looking forward to getting into it.
Me too. Yeah, I'm so glad that you're here. And I know we're gonna have a great conversation. And I think let's dive right in because
Mm-hmm.
we're gonna just kind of free flow talk about this show. So if you haven't watched Wonder Man yet, please go watch it now. Come back
Mm-hmm.
and join our conversation because we are going to go full spoilers
Mm-hmm.
ahead. So there's your spoiler warning.
Indeed,
All
you've
right,
been warned.
so I'm just going to give the quick launching pad and say what happened in this show. So Wonder Man, of course, is a Marvel Comics character. He's very um I want to say like C-list maybe compared to
Mm-hmm.
like Wonder Woman. Like everyone knows who Wonder Woman is from DC comic books, but not as many people knew who Wonder Man was. So but he is an Avenger and he's been an
Mm-hmm.
Avenger for a really long time. So,
Mm-hmm.
to his credit, he's been around. Um Notably, they did change his race. Like in the comic books, he's a white man. In this show, he's played by Yahya Abdul-Mateen, and Yahya is a great actor, and he kills this role. He does a great job. So we'll get into
Yeah,
that, I'm sure.
I actually think he's absolutely brilliant and magnificent. I don't think I've ever seen a role with him in it that I wasn't like immensely floored. I mean, like I thought about this from when I first saw him in the Get Down. When I first saw him in the Get Down, I was like, okay, he's on heat. This guy is really, really something special. But then like every role after, and he picks great roles. So
Yeah.
he's like Black Manta. If he's not Black Manta, he's in Candyman.
Hmm.
He's in Watchmen. And
Hmm.
each role he's in, he is splendid. And this is he's nothing short of splendid in this role either. It's just like he's just incredible. Actually, him and Ben Kingsley are just like
Yes.
really. I mean, Sir Ben Kingsley has been the man for some time. He's been an
Right.
incredible actor for some time. He's an Academy Award winner. He was Gandhi for
Yep.
goodness sake.
Yep.
But dude, he like what they did together in regards to just the story they told about just a relationship that can actually be either romantic or platonic to kind of show that it could be either or, and still have the same themes that go on in a relationship. I was so pleased. I'm so proud of it. Yeah, they did such a good job with it.
Ditto. Yeah. We are going to
Yeah,
get
man.
into all of that. Yes. Like
Mm,
a great cast, and like I also just want to just give the basic plot. So Wonder Man is not so much a superhero, but he's more of an actor, and he has happens to have superpowers, right? So unfortunately, in the Marvel universe, they have passed a law that says, if you have superpowers, you cannot be a Hollywood actor. It's too dangerous. And there's a whole episode getting into how that came about. But um, yeah, the first episode was called Matinee, and I
mm.
loved how each episode like dealt with a different aspect of the industry. You got matinee callbacks, found footage, things like that. And yeah, if people like shows or movies about Hollywood and the process of acting and the experience of an actor, um, this is a good show to watch. Like it reminded me of other shows like Hollywood or like there's a show right now called The Studio. I haven't seen that one, but
Mm.
I've heard comparisons to it.
I mean, like another comparison I think would be fair to make is that movie Birdman with Michael Keaton. It's a very, I think it's like very much in the same vein in regards to like tone and sensibility. It's like trying to like tell a human story about actors while also being in the acting world, so it has an extra layer of it being meta. And that's how like Wonder Man works in that sense. But it actually has an extra, if you're watching closely, has an extra layer in regards to race and a lived-in
Yeah,
experience about race and what that means and how you know like that same the same sort of topics and themes will look very different on a black person versus being on like a white face, and they kind of play with that, and they play with that in a very metaphysical way. It's really really brilliant.
I agree. Like, let's get into it. Like,
Mhm.
Simon Williams
Uh,
is in this show of Haitian descent, right? Like his family comes
mhm.
from Haiti, and
Yeah, yeah.
and
I think he is too. The actor is also from Haiti. I think he's Haitian.
is he? I think I
I think
I looked him up. I think he was born in the U.S. He might have
born in
Haitian
the
roots. I'm
U.S.
not sure.
Yeah, he might have Haitian ancestry. It might be, in his family, but I think he's actually of Haitian descent,
That's cool.
which
I
makes
hope
it
that
even
he is. Like,
better.
I know
Yeah.
he was born in New Orleans, right? So
Hmm.
same as Anthony Mackie.
Hmm.
Um,
See, they get in
I didn't
like
see
the
anything
deepest
about.
black people.
Yeah, and like when I went on his Wikipedia, it doesn't say too much about his parents. I mean, his father was Muslim and his mother was
Mm,
Christian, and that's all they really kind of say about him.
mm, mm,
But
mm,
and then they eventually moved to California. But
mm,
either way, I do think that the fact that this is our first Haitian superhero on TV, to my knowledge, I think that's a big deal. And I think that this
mm,
show did put in some effort to really show his family and to give him some cultural specificity. Like even his
mm.
parents, they called him Simone versus Simon.
Right, right. It's beautiful. I loved it. I love that. I love that little change in this, like, and like the way his name was pronounced and how that in itself gives him a different sort of identity. Just that and alone gives him a different identity. And I think that they were playing with that over and over again about what his identity is as a black man. If I'm to interject real quick, there's a scene in that show in which like Simon's agent calls him while he's at the director's house, like doing like a direct, and he's in the bathroom, like freaking out, explaining to her, he's like, he can't like deal with her. And then she says something about like, you need to be like, you need to be here doing this. That. He's like, yo, I'm at this dude's house code switching. He's just like, I'm code switching to the best of my ability. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. He says that real fast, but
Yeah.
nevertheless, like, understand that somebody in the writer's room wrote that on purpose to say, oh, have Simon say while he's in this white man's house that he's code switching. That in
Hmm.
itself says something a lot about the character and the character's ability to have different personas, different identities that he's able to tap into and use that as an avail to like actually propel himself forward in whatever space he's taken up. So he understands that he is Simone in one aspect. He understands he's simply Simon. He understands that he's like, you know, he makes white people feel comfortable in certain spaces. He understands his identity enough and how the space he takes up enough. And I think that it lends itself to him being an actor and understanding like what the role, what in what ways you have to transform yourself as a person, as an actor, and how simple and how much more easier that becomes if you have an extra layer of identity you have to tangle with, which is being black or being Haitian in his sense. So I thought that in itself was like a little that when that was early. That was like maybe like the third or fourth episode that happened. I think he said that or whatever. But that's early. That's established early for the viewers to be like, Simon code switches too. Like there's something there. Like you know what I'm saying? Like he's doing some sort of alchemy here. There's magic in that alone. But I don't
Yeah.
think that people can pick that up. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like I
Yeah.
don't think
Like,
that people's following that.
that's a good point because I'll admit, when I was watching this show, you know, as a black man, I'm like,
Mm,
there are moments, like you said, that spoke to me about the black experience. Like, I'm like, when he went to that callback and he was
Mm,
the only black actor who was called back,
word,
like I think when you
word.
saw the audition, there were other black men there. But he was the only one who got a callback.
Yep.
And 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 I don't know if people know this about me, but I studied acting when I went to college.
Came
And
in town.
um
Whoa.
so like, I kind of related to a lot of his experiences. Like,
Wow.
like you know when you're the only black person in the room. Like you might not say anything
You
about it
always know. Right.
necessarily, but you always
We
know.
always know. We always know.
And
Right.
you do worry about if that will be a reason for someone not to cast you. Like we
Hmm.
see it all the time. Like I learned in college that because I was black, I was going to get typecast if I pursue certain roles. Like, very often I could get cast as the best friend or a slave, but rarely would I get cast as the lead.
Right.
And
Right.
so like Simon, he was going for a lead role in a big superhero film directed by an Oscar-winning director. Um,
Right.
and that was so funny because the guy playing the director was also in the Superman movie
And
earlier
I
this
know
year.
he's the terrorist in the Superman movie
It's
that
like the
hard girl
dictator dude.
drops.
Yeah,
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 yeah, that guy is actually great. I think that guy is mad funny. I think he's
yeah.
so funny. I think his hair looking all like Bob
His
Dylan like
wild hair.
him with his wild hair, like that being him part of his whole steez every movie he's in. I think he's a great dude. I think he's great. Every time I see him, I'm excited to see what type
Like,
of have way he's gonna be acting. He's
like,
great actually.
like to him, for him to have two big roles in at DC and
Yeah, at
Marvel
DC and
within a
Marvel,
year is like,
he's
man, he's
doing
killing it.
something right. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
doing something right, bro. Yeah, I like that dude, man. He's funny. But
And
nah, but yeah, I hear that. That's interesting though that you said. Can you tell me more about what it was like for you to be an actor in that space or just like studying it? And what made you want to even study the experience of transforming yourself into someone else and then going back to yourself? Like what was that like for you? Why did you want to do that?
so that's the thing. Like when I was in high school,
Mhm.
I discovered a love of musical theater. I mean, I guess I always had a love of musical
Ah,
theater,
cool.
but I got my first real taste of like doing it on a stage, and I fell in love
Nice.
with it,
That's
and
lovely.
then I went to college for theater. Um, I'll admit I did not stay in college for theater, because ultimately how my experience was, I felt that I was learning how to not be myself, but how to be other people. And
Indeed. Well
I was
put.
losing myself, I felt like, or
Wow.
not finding myself. I didn't know who I was because I was young, but I
Right.
wanted to know myself better. And I did
Right.
not feel like I was finding myself in that experience. Like there's so much competition,
Yeah.
everybody, like they're trying to prepare you for the real acting world, which is even more intense competition. And it's like, and eventually I found like, it wasn't for me. I didn't have the drive to stick with it because
Hmm.
I wanted to be myself. Like that was more important to
Yeah.
me than
I hear that.
getting a career in that industry. So that's
Right.
why I ended up going a different direction.
Wow.
But um, so
Well,
that's
that's
why
something.
it was interesting to see Simon Williams here.
Hmm.
He has made he made this his career, whether or
Right.
not he was successful. Like up to this point, he hadn't been successful really,
Right.
and his brother was chewing him out about it and everything. But we
Hmm.
find out at the end how much his father believed in him and motivated him to pursue this, and that's why he stuck with it. And like I
Yeah.
thought that was beautiful.
I think
Um,
so too. I thought that was quite beautiful. I think that speaks a lot about like just Simon's like relationship with like trauma and like losing his father and like, in some way, shape, or form, like that being a part of his identity is like acting being something that he could find a true part of himself that he I think like fully loves. That, like because he's had such a hard time in this show, like trying to find a way to like fully accept and love himself. And, he was having such a hard time about like how he should show up in spaces, which I thought was really, really powerful, especially as an actor. And, it spoke to me on a level of him just having like, because to me, that spoke to my anxiety and how I should show up in places as like a black man, how I should feel fully empowered as who I am, and how difficult that's been for me all my life. And I love that he overthought himself, that he was like a chronic overthinker. I like that he was like in a position in which he was looking at the script and being like, well, shouldn't he do that? I thought that that was like really a nice touch because it just just shows the uncertainty of like what your identity should be. Like I like and I think that's like that's what he's an avatar for is like who should I be? What's my identity at this time? And for what reasons? Especially because the world keeps like trying to, change his identity in certain ways, or
Yeah.
forcing him to like, not reveal parts of his true self. I think that that was like and also another very powerful theme. I think like this, I know I'm skipping ahead a bit, but there's a theme when you find out everything with him and Trevor, like him and Trevor, like, betraying his trust and what that all was like. And I think that the analogy around like, you know, um, Simon like leaving and then going to like this deserted place into this like studio lot and then like exploding his emotions. I think the analogy for that is around like what it's like to be a black, especially a black man, and have any sort of big emotion in a public
Yeah.
space and how
Yes.
in what ways that is seen as a threat, how
Yeah.
it's demonized. So and how like in what ways like when it comes to him like exploding like that, it's not just tensed emotion, it's also like it's charged with whatever the social like conditioning people have around black people expressing their emotions. It's charged with that. So
It really
so
is.
so just that one act, it nearly like derailed his entire life just because he had the just because he needed to feel something, just simply because he needed to feel something, not because it was he's a human being and he has every right to feel it off the cuff. No, it's because he risked feeling something like he couldn't like self-regulate, and it had this tremendous effect. So
And he
I
had
think
spent
that
so much
it's
time
great.
repressing his feelings, like
Indeed, yeah,
which is kind of crazy for an actor. I mean, I guess an
right,
actor, some actors use acting as a way to, express themselves in a way that's different from their, day-to-day life. But
right,
like for him,
right.
you know, it became very clear throughout the show. Like he does not have a lot of friends.
No, he doesn't have a lot of
He
friends.
does not
Yeah,
let a lot of people get to know him. Like he had a lot of walls up. And so, I it was so
true
interesting to
indeed.
see, like you said, his relationship with Trevor. Like it helped him hone his skill and tap into his emotions. And like, unfortunately, it did come with some betrayal, which was a huge part of
Yeah,
the show. Like that was
yeah,
well done.
yeah.
Like I really loved
Indeed.
the twists and turns of that.
Yeah,
And
me too.
I'm
Me
sure we'll
too.
talk more about it. But on the
Yeah.
topic of him blowing up, I want to just focus on that
Mm,
for a moment because
yeah.
like that was such a huge part of the show. Like that's like the big
Yeah.
climax, right? Like
Right, it is.
um like it goes back to that like in the beginning in the first episode we find out that there's this law against super powered people in Hollywood. And then I think episode 3 or 4 we find out why there's this actor, not actors necessarily. There's this person named Damar Davis who
Right.
was a doorman for a club. He stumbles upon some, toxic sludge, gets some superpowers, and then, immediately people want to exploit him for his powers. Now, keep in mind, this is a black man. Damar Davis
Thank
is a
you.
black man
Thank you. Thank you.
who, as soon as he gets powers,
Right. Everyone wants to
one's ready to
exploit him.
exploit him. And in this
Right.
case, it's Josh Gad, which was hilarious.
Yeah,
I
it was
hate to
great.
laugh at it, but it was
That was
also
great.
very funny.
That was great. It was great. It was so
He was in
silly.
the
It was so
club singing the
whimsical.
Olaf song.
Yeah, yeah, that was great. I do love that. I do love how they were just like treating it like we were just watching like real life, like them actually really like it's just Josh Gad. It's like really Josh Gad. Yeah, I think that was like really smart. I thought it
And
was
that whole episode was
really
in black
funny.
and white, just like
Yeah, it was in
Watchmen
black
had
and
a black
white.
and white
Yeah,
episode.
yeah,
Other
yeah,
shows have
yeah,
black and white
yeah.
episodes.
Uh-huh,
And
uh-huh.
like you're in for
Yep.
something when they have a black and white episode. Like they
Yeah.
have a reason for that usually.
I honestly think a lot of cases the reason for that is to like show the stark differences in color, like the stark differences in like skin color, that is. So
Well,
like
that's
if
a
you
good
have
point.
someone like a black person who's dark skinned like Doorman, like that character is dark. He's not like Jesse Williams or whatever. Jesse Williams that's mad light skinned with blind, blue eye. He's not, that's not his complexion. His complexion is dark. He's a dark man. It's not just a black man, he's a dark black man on
Yeah,
purpose. And then they put everything in black and white. So everything looks more like black and white. Everything looks literally, and it's supposed to be like a visual indicator of how and what ways this character is going to be perceived by the world around him. I think that it speaks to like the notion of just simply being black. how like your skin color in itself is like something that actually is, it's an easy way to like it's a visualizer. It's like that's essentially what like enslaved people were going through. It's just like, you visualize, you see this person like, oh, their lips are a little bit too big, their nose is a little bit too big. Even though they're light skinned, that's the one drop rule. They might still be black. It's like it's a visualization that actually speaks to that, like in the most like
It's
visual way possible
it
to
puts
make it
you in the
black and white.
instant binary,
But you're
black
right,
or white.
instant binary, right? So there's no confusing from the audience around like, all right, well, this person might be this, might be that. No, there's a purpose. Like he stands out to the eye. You
And if
dig?
you
So
if
like I
you
think that's important.
and I think looking back on that episode, he was mostly dealing with white people, like his club owner,
There you
Josh
go.
Gad,
Yep.
I don't recall there being a lot of other black people in that episode.
Mm-mm.
I do
I,
think that the black
yeah.
and white also pointed to the fact that it was a flashback, like it was
Hmm.
something that
True,
happened
that
prior
too.
to the
Yeah,
events of the
certainly.
show. But
Certainly.
I think it gives some artistic flair to the show. It gives
Hmm.
them some like they could have just filmed the whole thing in color, right?
And color. Yeah, they
And
could
got
have.
away with it.
But yeah, but they were trying to tell, I think they were really trying to tell a specific type of story. I think they
Yeah.
were like really trying to like hone in on certain aspects of the show that they want like people to be aware of and be pay attention to. So I think they make
So
strategic decisions around things.
so when Damar Davis ultimately gets cast in the role with Josh Gad, he becomes an overnight success. He gets his 15 minutes of fame. It's going great. It's going great. It's going great until it's not going great. Like eventually,
Hmm.
people get tired of him doing the same old joke, ding dong.
Yeah, yeah,
people
that
like
ding
we
dong
see
thing.
it all the time in celebrity
Hmm.
culture. And unfortunately, this guy he said, I'm not an actor. He didn't want to do this at first,
It was, yeah, he
but
didn't want to.
but Josh Gad was like, you're gonna make big money, so might as well. He's like, you know what? Okay. So they
Poor
did
guy.
make their first movie was a huge success.
Hmm.
It was literally a movie called Cash Grab where they were doing a heist in the bank.
Oh yeah, yeah. I forgot about
That
that.
was
It
so
was.
funny.
It was
And
great.
then they were like, you know what? We gotta make Cash Grab too.
Yeah, word. Oh, so
And
good,
so,
man.
but unfortunately, that's where it all fell apart. And they were making Cash Grab too. And I do love that, when he's in the heist, like he puts on his mask that is just like in the comic books. It's
Yeah.
like the
It's the
white,
comic book mask. I thought that
yeah,
was
like
dope as
like
crap. Yo.
yeah, because in the comic books, Doorman literally just has like a black outfit, like it's
Yeah,
pretty
he
much a
does.
silhouette.
Right.
So
It's like a
like
silhouette.
so,
I thought that was really dope.
yeah,
It's a nice little
and
Easter egg there. Yeah.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
then eventually, he's using his powers. People can go through him like a door, but unfortunately, Josh Gad, Josh Gad decides to do this, on set in a way that he doesn't come back. you know,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everybody's like, "Where did Josh Gad go?" And because of this one incident, then they decided to make a law banning all powers
Yeah.
people. And how many
Laws.
times do we see
Like,
that in
yeah.
real life, where an incident with one black person makes it a
Yep.
problem for all black people, or
I mean,
like
you're absolutely right. I mean, look at this point. Look at what's going on with ICE right now. Like,
yeah.
man, they doing whatever they want. There's no repercussion, no nothing, no, like if a black person were to do just like like half of the stuff that they out here doing right now, black militia running around and ground, they would have made passed so many passed so many laws to be like, nah, like we ain't no, they might mess around and like do some actual gun control if black people in mass started getting guns. They
I
actually
mean,
might actually care enough to do actual gun control. That's what I'm saying. Like they
yeah,
don't really work that way. Like
yeah, like I mean, we've seen within the past month or so, unfortunately, ICE is coming for everybody, like
everybody.
black and white, brown, men and women. But we also saw that when two white people were killed, two white
Yep.
citizens were killed, there was way more outrage than when
Oh
black people
yeah.
were killed,
Yeah, yeah,
people
yeah.
were killed. Like we gotta. Where is our empathy for everybody who gets killed? Like that's the question I have. But
No, there's no such I mean, I don't know, man. Because like I said, I think that things like that happen with Doorman, like these types of things happen. and then we pass laws, and those laws end up becoming a part of American culture. And then what it does is it dulls people's ability to actually have empathy for Black people and see us as human beings. So next thing you have a law that says like, okay, well, you can't live within this radius for whatever reason, and then white flight becomes a thing, and then it kind of reinforces why it's important to stay away from Black people. It's like there's these laws sort of like come into play in order to like also like influence the way that we think about relations with one another. It's not just simply like, all right, a law is like just to make sure like crime stays at bay. No, it's to curate a particular public opinion. So that's why what happened with Doorman is so influential and so important, especially for him being a Black man, that it's like, all right, it's the one chance, one slip up rule, like boom, like that's why Simon is so petrified about anybody finding out about his situation, like what's going on with him. It's like, meanwhile, like Tony Stark was like, you know what, I am Iron Man.
right? Of the
Like
first movie,
off the
at the end of
first
the
cuff,
first
like
movie.
off the cuff, like no question, no questions asked. Like I am Iron Man. Everyone, what, like loves it. But my boy Wonder Man, my boy Miss Simon's like, yo, I can't like, what if my family, I can't you know what I'm saying? Like that's
Yeah, he
why
can't risk it.
you can't risk it. Like that's why I think a lot of like Black people bang with like Peter Parker, because Peter Parker's he's a very similar boat to be
Yeah,
like, I can't
like
just,
like Peter
you know what I'm
Parker has
saying?
a full body costume
Full
where he
body
could be anybody
costume.
under
Right.
that
It could
mask.
be anybody under that mask. Exactly. That's why he's like, I ain't trying to, like, I can't risk that. You know what I'm saying? I can't, and I think that's why in a lot of cases people rock with him. But like I said, like someone like Iron Man, he don't got to worry. He's like, yo, what I do me? I do what you mean. Like,
Yeah,
like
you're right.
that's the difference. And I think that that really, really drives home why like Simon was like so like on the fence and so afraid about
Yeah,
that part of himself being discovered. And that's a shame because, like I said, like I think that him like being in that, him actually being able to have access to all of his powers, to all of what he is, what just makes him made eventually makes him a better actor. It makes him a better person. It makes
yeah,
him more, it makes him smarter. There's all these different things that you notice. Like just by the time we get to the last episode and when he gets Trevor out, um, there's so many little things that I was really impressed with, right? Like you
so
mentioned
can we
before that.
can we save
Yeah,
that idea? Because I did
we
want to
will
just
share
finish the
that.
thought
Yeah,
about
no doubt.
Doorman and how it led to the boom. Because because
Yeah.
with the law being made after what happened with Doorman, so
Mhm.
that makes it bad not just for black people, but anyone with superpowers.
No,
And
anybody with
basically, this is a
superpowers.
metaphor. So you can use it as
Right.
a metaphor for black people, metaphor for queer people, metaphor for whoever, because we've seen this in real life. Like in Hollywood, you had the Hays Code, and they were
Word, the Hayes Code.
discriminating against
Whew.
people, left and right for decades. And
Right.
you had the McCarthy era, and they were trying to like out
Right.
people for being, you know, queer, being communist, being whatever they thought they were, or not even being that. They just accused of being
Yeah,
something.
they just accused you. Yeah.
Yeah. So Simon, he has to hide, his powers, um, and so I find it very interesting that this show only shows Doorman and Simon, two black men who both get who both do get into dangerous situations,
Yeah.
like you don't want to have crazy hazardous things happen on a job site, but at the same time, you know, what can be controlled, what can't. Like Doorman did
Right.
say,
Right.
why can't we
He's
just
like, I'm
use
not feeling
special
it.
effects?
Right.
Why can't we just use
Right.
special effects? And Josh Gad like, no, you got these powers. We gotta make it real. That's what people want to see.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
real.
and then Simon's trying to hide his powers, but like we talked about how he was repressing his emotions so much, and then he gets betrayed, and then he can't stop himself from exploding. And this is how you know it's a Disney show because the studio blew up, but nobody died, nobody got
Nobody
hurt.
died.
Luckily,
Yep.
nobody else was there.
For
But
real.
even so, like I was pretty surprised that they went there just because ultimately, the Simon's worst fear occurred, right? So
Right.
he was afraid of losing his powers, getting outed, and so like, and then the next episode, we see him in his apartment. He's worried the cops are coming for him, and then like really quickly we get the twist where they're actually coming for Trevor because we
Right.
didn't mention, but Trevor started out in the MCU playing the
Yep.
Mandarin, a terrorist. As an actor, we find out he's an actor the whole time. He's just some fool who's high on drugs, who's just reading a script that people
Right.
want to read, or improving the way people want him to improv. And then later on, we see Trevor in Shang-Chi, which was hilarious.
Oh, that's
I
right. He
don't,
is in Shang-Chi. Whoa.
yeah. So
That's
yeah,
terrible. I
we saw
forgot
him
about
there
that.
as well. He was kind of like paired up with Shang-Chi and them. And then,
Yeah,
so
it's
this is
real.
the third time we see Trevor, and
I forgot about that. That's incredible.
yeah, like I really love
He's
that
the
like
best.
progression of his character because he's each movie he's kind of had a different persona. Like I think
Yeah. Yeah.
Iron Man 3, he was serious up until he was a joke, and then
Right.
and then um Shang-Chi he was just kind of funny, like comedic sidekick, and then
Yeah.
this one
Hmm.
you got the best of both worlds. He really got to
Yeah,
dig
it's
into
true.
his skill as
True.
an
It's
actor.
true. Yeah, man, that actually, his like performance in this, like how he actually, especially like with, I don't know if we want to get to that point about like what he does to sacrifice himself for Simon.
Go for it. We can hear it.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I actually, I thought that that was like really masterful and brilliant storytelling, just about him being the Mandarin all over again and deciding to
Yeah.
just like take on that role again for, on
Yeah.
some allyship too, on some
Yeah.
allyship, like to be like, yo, I'm gonna put my body on the line, I'm gonna put myself in the crossfire for you, take
Yeah.
accountability for my actions and how I betrayed your trust, take accountability, not just like I'm sorry, I'm keeping it pushing. Like, I'm sorry. No, no, no. It's like, I'm sorry. And here's how I'm going to actually create some action and some corrective action in order to, like, hold myself accountable for in what ways I actually wronged you. I'm really proud of that. And him using his history, going back in time and using his history as a tool to actually help him and aid him in actually protecting a black person. I
Yeah.
thought that that was like a brilliant move, a brilliant writing, and I swear, man, like when he like switched into that Mandarin, I actually got goosebumps again from when the first
Right.
time when I saw him do it, when I thought he was the real Mandarin, and when I first
Hmm.
before I saw the movie, before I saw Iron Man, because I remember seeing the trailers and they had these really cool trailers with him in it, and he was like playing as though he was really the Mandarin. So I thought I remember seeing that when it first came out like 10 plus years ago, and getting goosebumps like, oh, this is gonna be cool, like some comic book stuff. But this time around, him actually reprising the role for this reason gave me goosebumps again, which is incredible. I would
It
never have
really is
expected that.
incredible. We gotta give him props because the Mandarin
Yeah.
could have been a racist caricature. Like it
Yes, he
could
could
have
have been
been a
racist
stereotype.
caricature.
Like like
Right.
um they deliberately made an effort to
Yep.
try to avoid some of the more offensive aspects of the Mandarin. I mean, literally, the Mandarin
Mhm.
in the comics is Chinese.
It's right.
Like,
Yeah, it's Chinese.
and so like he's got his typical Fu Manchu he's a
Yeah.
wizard. He's like a martial artist.
It's
He's got
racist
the
to
ten
begin with,
rings.
to be honest.
Yeah.
It
Yes.
is.
So like, thank goodness they didn't go that
They
route.
didn't go that route.
And
Yeah.
they cast Ben Kingsley. They added some instant gravitas to the role, but then they
Right.
also switch it
Right.
up because like they play to the like it starts serious, and then you get the comedic flip of it, um, and then you know it's been really interesting this, and then to take it full circle from there to here, like the way this whole series starts with him coming back to America to
Right.
LA. He's out of jail. Um,
Excellent.
the DODC, Department of Damage Control, they come for him
I
just like
love seeing
ICE,
them.
just like
Yeah, they
like
are basically ice.
they
But
are like the ICE of the MCU.
I really, really love seeing the damage control. I really, really love seeing damage control over and over again. And I was like, I was telling my wife, like, I was like, like damage control had their own comic. They actually were kind of like these, and like my wife's like, I know, Trevor. I know. I was like, oh, okay, sorry. I was like, I'm sorry. I was
Stop
like, because I was so
mansplaining.
excited to see them. Yeah, stop mansplaining. Right. I was like, but I was so excited to see them. Oh man, I was so excited to see him because I thought that was like so cool. It's not the first time that they've shown up in the MCU though. It's not.
No, those. I mean, that's
Yeah,
what's
it's
fun
not.
about them. They are recurring
Yeah, they are
villains and
recurring.
antagonists.
Yeah,
You got
yeah,
Agent
yeah, yeah,
Cleary,
yeah.
who's in the
Yeah.
Spider-Man movie, and was it
Right, right,
also
right. That's
was
dope.
it She-Hulk? Which other ones did they show up in?
I think they were in She-Hulk. Yeah, I think they were also in She-Hulk, which was actually an underrated show as well. I'm gonna be honest with
Mhm,
you.
mhm.
I think that, and also a fumble of a casting. They really could have used Tatiana Maslany to better effect, given her more of a juicy role and like kept her around. And there's so much potential. They just like kind of dropped that show and then like kept it moving. They just like aren't doing anything with
Well,
the Hulk right
arguably, aren't they doing
now.
that with all these shows? Like, only thing that got a season two was Loki, right? Like,
Seasons of
it
Loki.
like some of these shows did get movie follow-ups, and that's been kind of hit or miss. People don't
Yeah,
really
yeah.
always like how they connect, but I
That
generally
was
like
yeah,
most
they
of the
tried it.
MCU.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining too much
Me
about it,
too.
and like I said,
I do too.
this whole like just looking at a random character like Trevor, like it
Right.
turned out to be something really
Look at
interesting.
what they did with him.
Um,
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. They broadened that character and they enriched the world in a certain way. I just think that like there's a lot that people like want. And I think that like a lot of people like first and foremost, I think that they don't come from a world in which they read comic books to understand like how some of this stuff can get, kind of like fall against itself like sometimes. And you
mhm.
have to like give like a little bit of canonical like interpretation in space because like there we're at a point now in Marvel comics culture, and well Marvel or rather Marvel movie culture that there's enough interpretation of the same character and so many different spaces, or there's been enough writers that have touched the characters, the main characters even, that it's not going to be the way that people remember. So, for instance, like people, like someone's like, "Oh, I'm so excited about this," see what they bring back with the new Captain America or whatever. Everybody's mad about the new Captain America, even with Sam Wilson. It's like even if you bring back Steve Rogers, that Steve Rogers is not going to be the Steve Rogers from Joss Whedon's 2012 Captain America. The character himself, the people that have been writing that character, all of that has changed. Like between, the Avengers to the Winter Soldier to
Yeah, there's character
Endgame,
growth
there's
in
all this
the
character growth,
MCU.
right? All
Time
this character
passes.
growth,
Like it's
different
not like the comic
writers,
books.
right? That's what I'm saying. It's different
Yeah.
writers, all these different interpretations, different people that think that these characters should do different things. We've already hit that stage with when it comes to like movies with Marvel. That has been the case for comic books for the last 60 freaking years. 60 years that has been going on. So as a comic book reader, you actually gain a bit of a tougher muscle for that. You actually understand, like, all right, this is a part of the journey here. Like, this is this person's interpretation or this artist's interpretation of how they think this character should look in this sort of context. Like, Terry Dotson makes Wonder Woman look one way, and then you have like, Alex Ross that makes Wonder Woman look another way. It's like, bruh, it's the same character but different interpretations, dog. Like,
Yeah.
allow yourself to enjoy that. Why
And
not?
I do think that the MCU has broadened people's concept of this because with the idea of
Mhm.
variants and the multiverse, like this is stuff
Yeah,
straight out of the comic books, but
yeah,
I
yeah,
do think
certainly.
that the MCU really kind of defined it and like just put it in people's faces and be like, okay, so
Yeah,
like
like this
you
happens.
can have
Yeah,
multiple versions of one character
versions. Yeah, one
and
character.
they're all essentially the same character, but there are
Right,
differences that are worth
right.
paying attention to. So
But
like
I think people grow weary of that because I think that people don't like to. People invest much more in logic than their imaginations. So I think that people want something to make sense.
yeah,
So if something doesn't make sense, they're like, "Oh, this is not," like it's like I get that, I understand that. However, like when it comes to like the ways in which the laws of like how these things kind of work in comic books are can be kind of elastic. So I get a good example. Like I liken this to like something like I always talk to my wife about Harry Potter, and I don't like Harry Potter because first and foremost I don't like the author, but I don't like Harry Potter in general like that. one of the main reasons I don't ever hasn't ever really like liked it and went and got sunk deep into the story and even read the books heavy was because I didn't like the influx and the way in which the laws of the world works. Like there's things that happen that are only supposed to happen under certain circumstances with certain characters or certain spells could be said or you have to have certain things in tow in order to use certain spells, like certain things, like there's laws, right? But what happens with J.K. Rowling as time goes on, she just starts like rewriting things. Oh, well, actually, this character did exist at this time, or actually, this did happen. And it's like, no, you already said back, 3 books ago that this is only the way, this is the only way, this is the law around something. So I think that when you have a good writer that cares enough about their laws and their canonically
Their
what's
world
happening,
building.
the world
Yeah.
building, you get better stories. However, like something like Suzanne Collins when it comes to the Hunger Games books, her shit is tight. Like
I
everything like
mean,
makes sense.
I do think
Stays within
Kevin
that lore.
Feige, and Kevin Feige and them have been doing a overall decent job of
I
creating a
think so
connected
too, but
universe.
I think
Like,
people don't understand how difficult that is to do it.
right,
And I think
yeah,
that
at this
people just like
level,
quick, yeah, at this level for this
yeah, like,
long. They're going on
hmm
20 years. They're going on 20
right,
years. We
right,
about to be at 20 years of them doing this.
yeah, and
Understand?
this has never been done to this
Never
scale
been
of like
done. No, no,
blockbuster
no.
movies being connected to each other,
No, no, no,
going in all these
no.
different directions, touching all these different genres. Like,
We
yes,
got
there are a
three
few
years.
inconsistencies. Yes, there are, left dangling plot holes that characters we've never seen again, like Harry Styles as Star
Yeah,
Fox
yeah.
or whatever. But
But
who cares?
that could happen still. I'm just saying, like three. We got 3 years, just 3 years until it's the 20th anniversary of Iron Man. 3 years. They've been doing it for this long. That's what I'm
It's
saying. Like
impressive.
it's really, really impressive. I know we're going off tangent, but I think that like the reason why I bring all this up is because when it comes to the laws of things, when it comes to like how these things are established around world building, Wonder Man actually like understands that and plays with it in many different ways. Either it being
Yeah,
that, all right, well, we're actors playing a role in this world because superheroes exist now, or there's like superheroes that exist, but yeah, it's still like they have to like actually be within these confines. Or it could be, either way, it's like there's always a statement to be made about what this new world looks like with superheroes in it. Either it be for the viewer to understand and pick up on, or for the characters within the story to pick up on that there's a new world with superheroes that have been here. How do we adjust? And I think that Wonder Man is an answer to that. It actually examines that question in a lot of ways. So I'm actually really impressed with it. I just think it's a great story. I think it's
I
really dope.
agree. And to that point, like
Mm.
it really has done something uh remarkable. Like, first of all, can we just take a moment and applaud this show for getting, like, I think one of the highest critical ratings on Rotten
Wow.
Tomatoes.
Wow.
I think it's like in the upper 90s. It might have been like 98%. Like, it's really
Yeah.
one of the top rated Marvel shows thus far.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I don't know how review bombing is factored in because we do see that all the time with Marvel stuff.
Yeah, all the time.
Um, but regardless, it's getting great critical reviews, and then it's shocking because they almost wrote this show off as a tax write-off because,
They did.
um,
Yeah, I heard about that. I heard that they
yeah,
almost wrote it off.
because it was still in production during the writer's strike, and they were like getting to a point where they're like, "Uh-oh, what are we gonna do?" And they even mentioned the writer's strike in the show. They make a little comment.
Damn.
I don't
Damn.
know. Like, sometimes it's hard to root for studios if
Yeah.
the workers are being disenfranchised. But at the same
Right.
time, you can tell a lot of people worked hard on this show, and I'm
Right.
glad that it got to be released. Unlike other shows like Batgirl and stuff like that. Like, we're still
Movies.
waiting on
That's a
Batgirl. Like,
movie.
release
That is a
Batgirl.
movie. That is a movie.
Yeah, that's a movie, and they
That's a
still ain't released it.
movie, and
It
they
was near
still didn't release
finished. It
it.
was practically done.
And it's like, and I forget the gentleman that actually did, I think Bad Boys 2 are the ones
There's the two
that
guys.
actually,
Yeah.
yeah. So that means that shit is probably ill. And it's the same thing with like Wonder Woman being ill too, because it was so beautifully shot. And it was like, and that's one of the things that I thought was like said a lot about the talent behind the screen because I think it's Daniel Cretton. I think the gentleman
Daniel
that is
Destin Cretton
Destin
is the
Cretton.
director.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, the director. He did Shang-Chi,
You're right, and
and
he's
Shang-Chi
about to do the
is
next
about to
Spider-Man
do the
movie.
next. Yeah, he's
Like
about
he's
to.
taking
Woo,
over from who did the first three MCU Spider-Man movies?
Mark Webb. I think it's
No,
Webb,
not Mark
right?
Webb.
No,
He did
he did
the
the
Andrew
Amazing
Garfield
Spider-Mans.
ones.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Amazing Spider-Man ones.
Um,
That's I
I
forget. Yeah,
can't
the
think of his name.
cat. Yeah, I can't even think of his name either. But nevertheless, like this gentleman who's the
John
Asian
Watts.
descent,
John
John
Watts did
Watts.
the first
John
three.
Watts. Right. He
And
did the
and I'm
last few.
and I don't mean to any shade towards him because I do like those movies as well. I
Yeah, those
just
movies are freaking awesome. I like love them. I think
yeah.
they're great. I think they're really great.
But I am excited for Daniel Destin Cretton's
Yeah,
Spider-Man
oh yeah. I'm
because
because he's like I think he's like on the come up. I think he's an incredible director.
like
Like I
we've
said, I
already
think
seen behind the scenes of like they're filming things like in real
yeah,
life, like Spider-Man swinging down the
right.
street. It's like it's
Yeah,
literally
man. Like
in public
it looks legit.
in
Yeah, man.
costume.
Like woo. Like I
Like they're
said, like I
using
think
real
yeah.
like Marvel is not like they're trying to get away from people criticizing their use of CGI and they'd be like, we actually have practical effects. We actually have
Yeah,
stunt work. Like we actually
that's
do.
good.
And then with Wonder Man, this show was more character than like
Yeah, it was more character
action.
driven
Like
than
it had action, but
superhero.
it was more like a
It
character
was like
driven drama. Like people
mhm.
compare it to an HBO show. Like
Yeah, certainly.
like it's been so that level of quality, and I think specifically with Wonder Man himself, with Simon Williams, like it's just such a interesting layered character. I really I do want to give
I
Marvel props.
love
Like we were
him.
talking a little bit before
Yeah,
about what it means for him to be a black man. And another
right.
aspect of that I want to mention is the fact that in this show, technically he's like a legacy character because like Wonder Man in the context of this show is a movie from the 80s, right?
Right, right.
So you have this white man playing Wonder Man in the movie, and Simon sees it in the first episode. We see him at the movie theaters with his dad. Now that was a really relatable scene for me. Like
Uh,
I don't have a lot of memories of seeing superhero movies with my dad, but there's one that I do remember. We went to go see X-Men 2, and that's a
wow.
special memory because
Wow.
just the fact that he went to go see it, even if he didn't particularly like superhero movies, the
Right.
fact that he took me to see it when I was young, and we got to experience that together, and we also got to see other movies together, like he liked
Yeah,
westerns, and westerns were the superheroes of his day. Like that was the genre
indeed.
that was popping. So,
Indeed. Yeah, indeed.
um,
Wow, that's
you
dope.
know, I I'm always a sucker for all these moments of
Yeah,
characters with their dads.
I
Blue
couldn't
Beetle
agree with
made me
you
cry.
more.
I saw it twice. Like
Wow, I understand
this
that.
one,
No, I get it.
but
I
this
get
one I
that.
gotta say, I respect the fact that they mentioned that Simon's father passed, but they didn't show it. Like he didn't
Show
have
it.
to have an Uncle Ben moment,
Right.
for it to have impact.
That's a
Like
good point. Thank you
I
for that.
really, cause I was waiting for it. I was like, okay, when are we gonna get the Uncle
Mhm.
Ben moment? But but we did get a moment, but it wasn't about him dying. It was about him just spending time with his son, and
Yeah,
that's really like huge for like showing black fatherhood on screen, like quality time
huge.
with their kids, like taking them to school, like
Huge. And that's what breaks my heart about him actually dying in the first place. That
yeah,
actually is something that really bothered me a bit that his father had to die. It's like, why can't his father be around? Like, why is it that like black men, especially black fathers that are attentive and care about their children's lives, have to die in movies? Like, why? I was watching that with the Princess Frog and joint with my daughter the other day. The
yeah.
Princess Frog with her dad dying in
Her
the
daddy
beginning of the
died.
shit. I'm like, what is this? Like, why do black fathers have to die? Like, what is going on here? Like,
Well,
why
it
can't
is
black
kind of a
fathers just
common
live?
Disney trope and superhero trope. Somebody
True.
like I think it's part of the um. There's a book, Joseph Campbell, about like the hero's journey. He talks about
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh coming of age, like eventually, we're gonna lose people in our lives, unfortunately. So I think that's what
True.
they. I think they're just trying
Mm,
every just to add drama, to add pathos.
yeah,
Somebody's
but
gonna go.
I just think that like there,
It is sad.
I think it's a bit overused trope, especially especially black fathers, right? When you have this whole especially this history in this nation around black fathers being taken from us, not even by like, you know, due to like some sort of like death even that's out of their control. It'd be other shit. It'd be
by
like
the system. Yeah,
incarceration,
yeah,
black fathers being taken. Like why? Either way, like that's a form of death. They kill the opportunity for a child to stay with their parent. That's like like that's a form of death. Like you can't get that back. You can't get that time back. So it's like, why is it that like like I just think that that type of trope around losing fathers, black fathers, that is a bit much for me. I think
yeah,
maybe I'm more sensitive to it because I am a father, but still like and my father wasn't there for me. I didn't have a father growing up, so maybe I'm more sensitive to that because of those reasons. But I
yeah.
still think that that's something that requires some analysis. And I think that why can't you have, Pa, Ma, Kent and shit be, and there's many interpretations of their characters existing and living. Ma and Pa Kent.
That's an
There's
interesting
many
one. Like
interpretations of them living. Why can't they live?
that's true. Although there are also several interpretations of
Of
them dying, in
one of them
particular Pa
dying or
Kent dying. Like,
yeah, certainly, certainly, certainly. But
but
then
they do end up
again,
being alive again. Like I read the most
right.
recent Superman book. I'm like, wait, his parents are alive again? I'm
Alive
pretty sure I
again?
saw his
Yeah, that's
father
what I'm
die.
saying. But the point is too, what I want to make a point about that is like usually when Pi Ma Kent dies, that version of Superman is usually in his like 30s. So he's had time with his family,
But
time with his
notably,
parents.
I gotta say that I think the first time Superman's father died that I know of is in the movie, right? The '70s movie, right? So like Superman
Oh,
dies
okay.
while he's still young, like before he goes to Metropolis. Like
Does he?
it's
Does
like
he?
it's
If
a
I'm
very
trying to remember.
powerful moment
Yeah,
because
the
like
70s. Yeah.
he like
Does he
drops dead
die?
like of a heart attack.
When he's like sitting on a stoop with him? He's
I
like
well he's
holding
like
his
out in
dad
the
on the
field. I
stoop
think
in
he's
the
out in the
field or
field
something. Does he like
and
die?
then he just drops dead of a heart attack, and that's something that Superman can't fight. And like that's just a powerful moment because like he had to face death
Right.
for the first time and
I
something he
see what
couldn't
you mean.
control.
Yeah.
And then like they had the whole funeral with him and his mom. Like it was like that was like the
Right. I remember
Superman
now.
movie laid a
Yeah, I
lot of
remember now.
mythos stuff
Yeah,
that
they
the
did.
comics
Yeah, it
hadn't
did.
done till that point.
Done yet to that point. Because even in the comics, like his parents were alive until like the movie killed off one of their parents, and then writers going forward was like, you know what? We can kill off Pa Kent to show to show some sort of a change in the character. Like it's like, but why though? It's like
It's
we
the
don't
Uncle Ben
have
moment.
Uncle here, and I think that that's another point is that the Uncle Ben moment is an Uncle Ben moment for a reason. It doesn't mean that every character needs to have an Uncle Ben moment.
I
Uncle
mean,
Ben
that was the
moment
whole
is
plot
Uncle
of
Ben
Into the
moment.
Spider Verse, right? Where they were like, no, everybody got to have a canon event. Like,
Yeah, canon event.
What's his name? Miguel,
O'Hara.
O'Hara. Thank you. He
Yeah.
was out over there being like, no, every Spider-Man needs this Uncle Ben moment. And then Miles was like, hold up, no, like, I
No.
want my father to live. So can I just say right here, right now, his father better not die in the third one. Like, I'm
This is
like,
what I'm
or his
saying to
mother.
you.
Both of his parents better
This
survive that movie.
See, but that's what I'm telling you. See now how protective you are because you know instinctively the same thing that I'm saying.
And this is how
Like,
I
why
felt
is it
since I
that
saw
black
that movie.
parents can't?
I'm like,
Why can't black parents? This is what I'm trying to tell you is that like the we that the
I'm right there with you.
there's
Yeah.
too many black parents dying. Both parents, like there's too many. There's too little representation of nuclear black families. Like two black parents being in the household and being alive. There is still not much representation of that. There isn't. Like there, I mean, the last thing that the most bold faced one we have is like the Huxtables. You know what I'm saying? Like, or but like, but it's like but that's like it's still rare to like have that in movies or have that being like in a franchise of movies like these black parents just stay alive like it's very very rare, man, and that's what I'm
Well,
saying like
yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
I, I agree. Like, I do want to shout out a few movies just because they bucked that trend. Like last year there was that, I think it was G8 or G6. It was a Viola Davis movie where she was the president. She was married
Oh, right.
to Andre, no, Anthony Anderson, and
Anthony Anderson. She was married to
yeah,
Anthony Anderson.
yeah, it seems like a
Oh
weird
boy,
combination, but like they actually killed it. Like they had two kids, and
really?
and the whole movie was really good. Like they were fighting hard as hell to save their kids from terrorists because the terrorists had come to attack the G6 and the whole world. But
Wow,
so that's a good movie. And then also
interesting.
and speaking of Anthony Anderson, we had Blackish too. I mean, some people love and
Blackish
hate
is
that show,
another.
but I thought it was a
No,
funny show.
I actually really love Blackish. I think Blackish was quite smart. People
Same.
just like don't like Kenya Barris, and that's fine. I respect that, but I think that he's brilliant at times, and I think that most of the time actually he's brilliant. But I think that people have a hard time with his examination on colorism, which is fair.
hmm
I mean, like, but that's the nature of being black. Everyone's always going to have a problem with your interpretation of being black and what it means, because there's no one interpretation of being black,
Absolutely.
and we constantly get pigeonholed around being black and what it means. So I can understand why he's going to be, facing ridicule, but I still think that for what it means, I think his work is brilliant. But
But
nevertheless,
back,
I do want, yeah, back to Wonder Man.
yeah.
I wanted to bring up a point before we part, because I thought that there was a scene that was like really powerful that really represents, like, I think the duality and how, in what ways that this show plays with race in very subtle ways, and actually by proxy plays with roles, and and like code switching, things of that nature. So it was a scene in which, like, when after Trevor and Simon get the role of being Wonder Man and Barnaby, they're in a acting trailer, and Simon is going through the lines and talking about how he thought that there was something about the lines that didn't seem real to him. It felt a bit artificial. And what he does is he explain, and like I watched this scene more than once, like at least three times, because I thought it was really powerful. So like he says, like, to the director and to his assistant, like, listen, this character, like the way that he says this, it doesn't really sound like he really mean, like, that doesn't sound like where this character would
Authentic.
be. It sounds like an act one version of this character. And I thought that that was really smart, because for one, that's the meta way of like showing that this character that we're now watching, Simon, has grown, right? That's one element of it. But then also too, what I thought was really interesting was that the ways in which, like, the director and an assistant actually pushed back on him around his perspective around this, and how he was this like, hey, like, well, I'm not saying, because the actor came in and was just like, I heard you have a problem with the script. I heard that I'm not doing it for you. And then Simon's like, whoa, 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 I didn't say any of that. And then he told the assistant, like, remember, I didn't say that. He's like, do you remember that scene? He said something along
Yes.
those lines. He's like, yo, I don't, that's not what I meant. So right there, he has to do the code switch, turn that back on, and be like, wait a minute, I didn't mean it that way. I'm just trying to get to this. I want to explain this, where I'm coming from with this. So he had to go out of his way. Instead of just getting to the point of what he was trying to explain, he has to go out of his way, make them feel good about their feelings first, and then go back into what he was trying to discuss. Right.
Yep.
So that's one thing. Right. And then as the scene progresses, they're talking a little bit more, and he's just like, well, the director is like, well, this is about about revenge, like in redemption, like this is about. He's like, this is what the whole arc is about. He's just like, so maybe I should just go back to the drawing board and just like start the re-examine this whole theme, blah blah blah. And then Simon's like, I'm not asking you to do all of that. I just want you to consider changing this one line. That's it. Oh, well, but it could mean this, could mean. Then Trevor hears it, and then Trevor's listening, but then he's just like, well, lads, I think all he meant was just to change this one line this way. And they're like, huh, that could work. And then Simon's like, and then like Trevor was like, I think we should do it that way. And then they were like, okay, we'll
Everybody
do that.
agreed.
Everyone
Like,
agreed. And then
I think
Trevor,
there's layers to that. Yeah.
layers to that. And then like for Simon to, on the low, while they walking out, like, mouth thank you. Not to
Yes.
say it out loud, not to tell
Yes.
him directly. He mouthed it to be like, yo, thank you. They were not
Trevor
listening to
was
that
his
black man.
real homeboy. That was his advocate. Like in so many ways, Trevor was a real friend. Even though he started out
Yeah.
trying to betray him, very early on, it was like the way Simon was so real with him.
Right.
and so it had such similar interests. They bonded, and you could tell it was going to be hard for Trevor to betray him. And so, like in that scene that you're talking about,
Yeah.
I love that Trevor was able to advocate for Simon and
Right.
present a solution, and and it's something that validated Simon's point of view, and everybody eventually agreed to it. But it is frustrating that they wouldn't hear the black
Thank
man
you.
in the first place.
Thank you.
And on top
That's
of that,
what I was saying.
yeah. And then on top of that, it was just like, you know, he is, trying to be heard. So it's like, what is it that is holding them back from
Thank you.
taking his point of view?
This is
Right?
what I'm
Like he
saying.
literally
And
got
I
fired for
you
having the
got
point of view in the
thank
first
you in the
episode.
first place, in the first episode. So it's already a risk. That's what I'm saying. Like, and on top of that, like, like I thought the way I read it, because and this is something that me and my wife discussed, and we had two differing opinions about it. But also, it goes to show about how and what ways being in that situation as in a lived-in experience colors your point of view. I say color on purpose. Colors your point of view about how to think about that versus somebody else that doesn't live that experience. So my wife was telling me because like the way I read that is that I thought that the director as well as the assistant had a bit of an attitude
That
with
was the
him.
writer, I think, not the
It's,
assistant. That's the
oh, sorry, it
writer
was the
was
writer.
talking.
Excuse me,
Mhm.
not the excuse me. That was also sexist of me. There we go. So excuse me, but that's the point. Like I thought she was like maybe the assistant, but that was actually the writer.
I think so.
That says a lot. Says a lot about me. But nevertheless, if it
Easy mistake.
my but yeah, but my mistake though.
But
Nonetheless,
you did
but the
watch it
point
3 times. Now just message.
exactly no. But no, but the point I was trying to make was I thought that they were being a bit combative around like how they would actually speaking to him about him, expressing his ideas. Because I thought they were being a bit flippant as well. They were just well, this is what it means. Like, what do you mean? Like, blah, blah, blah. Like, I thought that they were kind of like not being, they were being a bit abrasive about how they were listening to what his thoughts were about something. So the way I read that is this like that would actually if I were in that position, I would actually be feeling a little bit apprehensive to tell someone where I stand around something because I think that that would put me in some sort of jeopardy as a black person doing that with these white people. This is a white staff, white writers, white director. My wife was saying that she thinks that the directors and them were just simply trying to actually you know, you know, they were actually doing the thing that Simon always does, in which he actually overthinks the draft. Like he's overthinking the like so they were overthinking the script on top of what after what Simon said to them. That's what she was saying. She thought that that's what the point of view that they were coming from, that the director as well as the writer were just going through the motions of overthinking it. Just overthinking it, being like, well, doesn't this mean this? Well, wasn't the theme that? No, that they were just overthinking it. But the way I read it as a black man, I was like, it sounds like y'all are being combative to my ideas, to his ideas, Simon's ideas, and don't want to hear it in the first place. And as though he had the gall to even to talk about his differences of opinion about those things. Like they were being combative. That's how I read it. And my wife read it the other way about them just over analyzing it with Simon at the same time. So both point of views are valid.
Mhm.
Both of them are valid, right? However, the caveat is that being a black person, you can automatically take that on as like a challenge to like what you're trying to present, as opposed to it being like, oh, maybe they're just trying to deliberate with him. Maybe they're just asking, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I thought that that was
Let me
pretty
let me
brilliant.
present my point of view, which I think
What
is
do
a
you
little
think?
bit in between both points of view.
Okay,
Because, like, for me, on the one hand, yes, absolutely, they were not giving him as much, validation until Trevor jumped in. But
right.
on the other hand, to be fair, Simon did not present an alternative line. He was just like, "Can we change
Mm,
it?" He didn't give him a suggestion on how to change it. So Trevor,
mm,
being the more mature, experienced actor, was like, "You know what? Here is an alternative line. What do y'all
mm,
think?" And they're like, "You
mm,
love it. Let's go with it. Works."
mm.
So like, I wonder, like, I think that's the whole dynamic of Trevor and Simon.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
Simon is younger, more inexperienced, and Trevor throughout is trying to give him practical
The
tips
yeah,
about
practical tips. Yeah.
how to be a better actor,
Hmm.
how to earn respect in your craft,
Right.
you
Right.
know. and I think that is a specific tip that hopefully
Hmm.
it shows growth. I do think it shows growth in Simon that like he was bold enough to even ask for a line change in the first place after being fired
Right.
in episode one.
Right.
Like he had learned to not do as much as he was doing, but he also was proud enough to not shrink himself and be like, well, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut entirely. Like, I
That in
appreciate
itself
he
is
didn't do that.
impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so
that's
it's
what I
like
mean. Like, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I hear what I think that's what you're saying is extremely valid too, that he was just trying to put Simon on some new game. But also in the same case, I do think that um
the pushback was real.
yeah, I thought it was pushback. I mean, like maybe that's how I was reading it, but maybe you know what I'm
No,
saying?
I
Maybe it was
read it too.
just
I felt it. Like,
that's
um,
crazy. You felt it. That's
I felt it.
crazy.
It was like, I was
Wow.
like, y'all really didn't
Wow.
didn't want to agree until Trevor
Yeah,
says,
to this white man says something. To this white
yeah,
man, not even in the conversation. That's not
right?
even the lead role. It's not even in the lead role.
Yep.
You don't even want to hear what homie has to say, but as soon as this white man says something, you up, you buy it. It's also confirmation bias. It's the
Mhm.
extra work of like Simon actually having to, navigate how these white people are going to receive and perceive what he has to say about this and how he's going to be vulnerable around them. It's all of
And
that at the
also, just
same
like
time.
this speaks to the thing we're always talking about with representations. Like, can non-black writers write black characters? Like,
Right.
like we saw in that scene that the writer and the director of this film, they were not black, but they cast a
Yep.
black man in the role of
Yep.
a character
Yep.
who was formerly white. So it's like how
Exactly.
authentically black is
Is
Wonder Man movie.
right,
We don't
right,
get to
right,
really
right,
see a lot of the movie itself, but we do see that in the show itself, they did take care to give Simon, a family, to give Simon, uh, a culture, to give him,
right.
he wasn't just a black man in a white world. He also
No,
had roots, which I thought
roots like a
was,
full
I'm
on.
glad, I'm
Yeah,
so
I
proud
love
that they
that.
showed that.
Man, I
Like,
loved it so much.
because they
Man.
could have just left it, like he could have been the only black person in this show, to be honest.
Yeah,
Like,
seriously. I thought that was really interesting too about like there was another element around everything that was going on with Simon when everything happened with like the explosion and Trevor. The only person that came to check on him after everything that happened was one of his assistants that was a black man. I
yeah,
thought that was really important. That it was like
yeah.
he just knocked on the door and was like, "Yo," he was like, "What are you doing here?" He was just like, "Yo, I'm just checking to see how you doing. Your man got locked up. Things are happening. Are you okay?" Like he
But
came to check on him.
no, but really though, they sent
Mm,
him to tell Simon get back to work. Like,
true.
like,
Yes,
like
true,
he was
true.
the assistant. And they were like, somebody needs to tell Simon he needs to come back
Yeah,
to
to get
set
back to
because
work.
even
Yeah, of
though even though the
course.
set blew up, we got work to do. Like, we gotta
Yeah,
finish this
yeah,
movie.
yeah, 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 yeah. Because like that was something else I got on my nerves too, that they didn't have any sensitivity to Simon's experience with that. It was like, all right, get back to work. And that's a complicated thing because that is the nature of being an actor, is that you have to be able to like use what emotions you have in order to like convey emotion in a scene, especially
And the
in the stuff
director told
that
him
he
that
was going to. Yeah, yeah, and I can understand that. So it is exploiting, him,
in a way
but
for
that's
sure.
the nature. Yeah, but that's the nature of the craft in a lot of
Yeah.
ways. So it's
Yep.
a complicated thing, but I think that's where the brilliance is in that show, is that it's still exploitation. It's still, it's still like not respecting this black person's experience, what happened to him, and what's happening to him. However, it's still a part of his choice. It's still a part of that like system that he's electing to be a part of, that is like,
Yes.
treating him this way,
So
really,
can
and it's difficult.
I gotta tell a story here or make a
Yeah,
comparison, and
yeah,
it might seem like a tangent, but
okay,
this is it just occurred to me that the more things change, the more they stay the same because
indeed.
one of the first, I think the first Disney movie to star a black man. Do you know what it was?
Hmm. Oh, boys, and Uncle Ruckus is
Song of the South,
Song in the South
Uncle
joint,
Remus.
yeah, dog Uncle
All right.
Remus, yeah, dog.
So
Oof.
so let's talk about that for a second because
Hmm.
I just want to. you know, mention the fact that Uncle Remus was not a slave. He was a free man,
Mm,
and he was the main character of this film. He was the narrator. He was telling a story. He was singing songs, and you know, it was problematic. It to say the least. But at the same time, you know, black people, every time we have a first, it usually is problematic in some way, shape, or form.
yeah.
Like we gotta get our
Hmm.
foot in the door, and like I do feel like as problematic as it is, Walt Disney campaigned for James Baskett, the actor who played Uncle Remus, to get an Oscar, and he didn't get an Oscar, but he got an honorary Oscar, and he was the first black man to ever receive any kind of Oscar. So it's like, but
Mm,
and we just and we're seeing right now the Oscars are about to come up. We already know who's
yeah.
nominated, and like
Right.
to this day, we still see that the only time black people win Oscars is when they play stereotypical roles,
Hmm.
Jezebel, Mammy, Uncle
Yep.
Remus, but you know,
It just
getting our foot
it
into the door. So it's like
I
I feel like
mean,
that's what Simon was doing. Like this is
yeah,
literally the same thing happening over again. Disney has
right.
cast a black man in a live action movie, and they are supporting, like they are to a degree trying to support him and prop him up, but at the same time they are exploiting him, like you said. Like I mean, they exploited Doorman too with the cash grab films, but but Simon
I mean,
Simon at
yeah.
least they had like I have to put some I do appreciate the director of Wonder Man in this film in the show because
Hmm.
he they made a point that he's an Oscar winning director. He's above this. Like he's not
Right.
somebody who has to do a superhero film because
Right.
everybody knows superhero films are not winning
Yep.
Oscars left and right. So
Right.
um like they make the point that he kind of lowered himself to do this, but like yet in his own words he's trying to say actually I think this story has value. I think it can be told in an interesting way, and I think that we should cast this black man in this role. Like he did like you
Hmm.
know make an effort to star a black man when he could have cast any of the other white men like who were at the callbacks, so to speak. So I
I
don't know.
think
It's
that
it's kind of a mixed bag.
yeah, I think you're right, but I think that ultimately it really does come down to just like the core of it all, white people will still have to be in control of our narrative. They have to
Mhm.
still be in control. They have to be the ones that say that this is worthy, this isn't worthy, this is important, this isn't important. This is like something that you should pay attention to versus this is something you should not pay attention to. It's about them still having the dominant narrative. It's like to me, I think about this in regards to just like what's going on with like you brought up Simon, but I think that the same thing happens when in most spaces when they elect like when like a black it's not like elect a black person, but like when a black person is undeniable in certain spaces, like you have to give it up for them. And like, but if you do give it up for them, it's within certain particular confines. It's like certain things have to work in a certain way in order for it to be a perfect storm for it to, white people to feel just comfortable enough. Like white people still hold the dominant narrative. So it's like, all right, well, if we're gonna, have people on TV, like let's make sure they Michael Strahan and not like, Fredro Starr or whatever. Like, they don't want nobody like they don't even trying to have like, they want to have somebody that feels like palatable to white people. Like there is a specific so because white people are still the dominating force around like how narratives is becomes lawful. Like narrative becomes something that is like, like the way that which we like decide to like think about the society around us. White people have the final say. So that's why I think that, when it comes to like directors or Disney, for instance, saying that Uncle old boy that played Uncle Remus should be nominated for an Oscar, that's because they say so, not because like that like our somebody from our community that we've respected and is like really deserving of a certain role, like they honor and respect what we have to say. No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't ever like, how many talented people have like how many black people have been talented and it's like haven't it's been overlooked, like or brown people, Asian people, whatever, that have been talented that get overlooked just because like white people feel more palatable and feel more comfortable with seeing people that look like them in certain roles or certain getting certain accolades. I think about that with like that movie with Jamie Lee Curtis and that joint just came out, everywhere, every place, all at once,
Mhm, mhm.
whatever the name of the movie is. Like, oh, like she got the supporting actor role over other
Cassie.
homegirl at, yeah, right. And she is brilliant. She is incredible. And yeah, it's still like, and she had much more of that movie. Like it was more it was her and Michelle Yeoh that were directing, the majority of scenes of that movie. And yeah, it's still the Academy Awards was like, nah, give it to this white lady, like because she's been around longer. We know who she is. It's so good to see her in this range, in this role. It's like we've seen Jamie Lee Curtis in so many ways. Then that's no knock to Jamie Lee Curtis. I love Jamie Lee Curtis, but it's a matter of it being that this is the point that is being made about like white people have the narrative, whatever they feel comfortable with, they will choose. And then like I think that's what happens. Like, and we don't get a chance to tell our stories the way that I think should be able to,
I mean,
like
would it have been wonderful if Oscar Micheaux had been able to nominate one of his actors for an Oscar way back in the day, him being one of the
yeah.
forefathers of black cinema? Yeah, that would have been great. But I also, I think you're right. Like we have had an uphill struggle of, having to get our foot in the door in a situation where white people are in control, and um, you know, and that's still the case with Wonder Man, to be honest, because who's in charge of Marvel? You got Kevin Feige, Bob Iger, um, you know, I don't know. I do think that despite it all, we gotta take our wins where we can get them. Like I do think
No,
it's
no.
meaningful that we have a dark skinned black man playing a lead role here, playing a superhero. Like my heart watching this show, I literally cried because I was just so moved to see a new black superhero. Um, because we've had to fight for every ounce of representation we've ever had, and like I feel like we had more in the '90s compared to this moment. I mean, it's debatable. Like we just had Ironheart, we just had Captain America: Brave New World. Um, I think we mentioned Watchmen. Um, Watchmen, I have a lot I could go onto a tangent about, but I won't. Maybe we'll have to say that for another time. I
That's
mean,
one of the greatest things I've ever seen.
great show, but as great as Yaya was in it, he was portraying a white man who had stolen a black man's body, which is very problematic if you get down to it. But I'm not
Yeah,
going to get into that argument right now.
that's a good point. It's not, it's that's a really good point because it's not, see, but like that white man became like an omniscient being. So to me, I kind of think of it as like, Martian Manhunter choosing to be a black man. I think it's in that sort of wheelhouse. It's like,
But he
you
didn't choose to
know,
be a black man for himself. He chose to be a black man because that's what Regina Jones, Regina
Regina King,
wanted.
yeah,
Um,
wanted, right.
what was her character's name? I can't remember. It was
Sister Night.
Sister Knight. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
I forget her character's name though. Yeah, I
But
forgot. Yeah.
I mean, it's a great show, and she was great in that role. Like she brought the nuance, and he did too. Like it was good.
Mm,
But I'm just saying, I'll never get over the fact that Doctor Manhattan was originally what this German kid, who
yeah,
liked clocks, and then he went through this whole, you know, uh, getting powers and becoming omniscient, like you said, and like a godlike power, and then he picks a body based off of, and not only does he think she'll like it, but like he coaxes her into admitting that she wants the black man when she's like, well, you could take this guy or this guy because they are in Vietnam and she's
hmm
picking Vietnamese guys, and and there just so happens to be one black guy in Vietnam who looks like Yaya, and then
right.
in the morgue, and Dr. Manhattan's like, what about this one though? I don't know.
hmm
It was that's another complex scene that we could dig into
Yeah, certainly, 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 certainly.
But
Because
if
that says a lot. That says a whole lot, actually. I have to rewatch it. I haven't watched it in years. I gotta
yeah,
rewatch
me too. But if
it.
and that whole show, like they had the masked police, you know, before it happened in real life. Like, ugh, God, don't get me
I
started.
know, I know, I know, I
Um,
know, I know, I know, I know.
but on that, I do want to talk about that as it relates to Wonder Man, if I can, for a quick second. Like
Mm,
this show, it had a very explicit, plot where the DODC was trying to build, well, they already built a prison, and they're like, we need to fill it. And don't you know, just earlier this week, I was watching Rachel Maddow. She had a whole story about how in America right now, they are trying to build prisons and ICE facilities across the country. People are standing up, fighting back, protesting, and a lot of them have not been allowed to proceed, which is great. Like I didn't hear that great news, and I was very excited to hear that. Um, but what she said was, if they build them, they will fill them, and
hmm.
she's 100% right. And that's
Yes.
exactly what they were trying to do in this show. They're like,
Mm,
we don't care about the character of these people who have superpowers. We just need to arrest them and put them in our prison. And like
mm.
they were coming for Simon. Like this guy, Agent Cleary, he wanted Simon for his own benefit. He's like,
Right,
I'm going to get rewarded and respected if I get this guy, you know,
right. I
and
love that.
but but Trevor was like, luckily Trevor's heart was in the right place and be like, you know, I don't want to go to jail, but I will I will go to jail for Simon because he realized that Simon, was a younger man with his whole life ahead of him, with this big opportunity ahead of him, and he deserved it. Like Trevor already had many chances, and he squandered them by turning to drugs, by pretending to be a terrorist, like all this stuff, like um
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
he's had a second chance, so to speak. So the way that he gave it up for Simon, I thought was really beautiful. But also the fact that at the end of the show, Simon essentially gives up his acting career to save Trevor. Like that was crazy. Like let's talk about that for a second.
I don't know if he gave it up or if he just like he did a good job at like because he did fry the cameras on the way in to go get him. So I don't know if he gave up his acting career or he just got
Well, he
better
was
at it.
acting to get in the prison, but like remember, because his agent was like, "You can pick any role you like. What do you want to do? You can do a play. You can do movies. Like you can do a sequel. Like after the Wonder Man movie came out, he had his choice of roles,
Hmm.
but then he decided to go undercover to break Trevor out of prison. And like, I mean, if you break someone out of prison and then it's revealed that you have these powers, like, can he even get the roles now? Like,
I think
what's
I
next for
think
Wonder Man?
I think that speaks a lot to his ability to his growing confidence in his abilities around acting and his growing confidence in his abilities around like who he is and his security of who he is. So I think that his ability to first and foremost control his powers when he walked into place and do different things on purpose and then know how to get him out. He literally walked in there, then he used his other powers of persuasion and acting to get past guards because he could have just used his powers and blew the whole joint up, but he didn't. That's on purpose. So like I'm saying, like I think that he could understood like his power in a lot of different avenues. It was like either it be that he could code switch real quick and or he could put on an accent like he did. He had a down south accent, or he can like be witty enough and sharp enough to like come up with a quick lie right there in the moment in order for a guard to not notice him, even though he's a best-selling actor at this point in time. Like he's all over the world right now. He still was able to like maneuver himself in just because of his own skill and that's how I read it, and I think that that kind of especially in regards to like little things too, because like one of the ongoing themes in the show was that he's kind of a dick, and he called himself that. He's been kind of a jerk, and he doesn't. Oh, he's like asking people what they feel and how they feel for the day. That actually works. He was like really confused on like those sort of kind of social cues, but if you get to the last episode, you realize he masters it. He's like, oh yeah, he like has the accent and he's like asking people how they're doing. He's like talking to him. That somebody makes a mistake. He's like, it's okay, bro. Blah 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 blah. Like he does. He. By the time we get to that Simon of the final episode, he's already like his ability to like identify when are good opportunities to like ask questions, when not to ask questions, when to smile, when to like give someone a handshake, when to compliment, when to say thank you, when to say please. All of that was mastered by the time we get to that episode because he needs all those skills to get into the place to break him out. So he's already gotten that good since that movie. So that's how I read it. It was that he got super secure in himself and super secure in his abilities, either it be super powered or his abilities as an actor and persuasion, that he was able to go in, get his man out without any repercussions, and he knew he could do it and then keep it pushing. And nobody knew it was him. That's how I read it. I don't think he was like he sacrificed his acting career. In fact, I think that it just kind of showed that he had
Well,
it on lock.
I agree that he grew and matured a whole lot, like towards the end, like you said, his powers, his acting skills, everything. Like he put in the work to get to that point. But I also think it's a lot of it is also due to Trevor's mentorship. Like Trevor, like I said,
Oh
he
yeah,
gave
of
him
course.
specific tips about how to get better, and that's why they had this great friendship and bond and mentorship. Like, um, I'm just saying, like the ending itself, it's actually kind of a lot like Watchmen. It leaves you at this point of it could go either way. Like you don't know what's going to happen next. Like is Simon going to end up with the Avengers? Is he going to act some more? Is he going to do both? Is he going to do
Exactly.
neither? Like it could go
Exactly.
anywhere from here. But if you break uh, a terrorist out of a supermax prison, there are going to be some kind of consequences, right?
Yeah,
Like
there gonna be consequences. Yeah,
uh,
but like they go, like if they can find him, if he's
true.
like able, you know what I'm saying? So like that's why I think it's like really powerful because
But
like
you're going
he's
to have
like
to be on the run.
you're gonna be on the run, but to what end, to what degree? I mean, like, do they know it's even him? Like, it's all speculation right now because he's a dope
They're
actor. He's
gonna
a,
know it's
it's
him the
like you know what I'm
way like
saying?
the way that they talked about, they know he's got ionic powers, ionic energy. Like they know he had this relationship with Trevor. Like I don't
I
know. I think
mean, that's true. They know he had a relationship with Trevor, but they still can't prove nothing.
well
That's how I look at it. It's like, yo, he's, but I could be wrong. I
they
mean,
don't they
maybe.
never need proof to arrest a black man or to
Hmm.
come for a black
No, no,
man.
and I think that's the magic of it. I think that's why it was so impressive and important and prescient that he did it in the first place, because he like knows his risk. Because like there it is, like because like for so long in that show, that was the whole point. He was so afraid of his risk. He was so afraid of risk. He was so afraid of like the possibility of him getting caught for any reasons. And my man like just like did it anyway. He just like put himself out there, used his skills, boom, and kept it pushing. Like, and I think that's really a lot of cases where the magic is in that whole last episode is that he I think in a lot of cases like understood that he could do this. Like he can actually get away with this. He's that good. He's that good. And I think that like Trevor of course helped him get there to understand it, but he's been that good. He's like been that dang good. And I think that that's like really what's like impressive that they were able to showcase that quickly in that one episode that he's been there. He's been ready he's been able to do this. It's just a matter of it being like, will he give himself the opportunity? And he did.
All right. Well, I do want to take a moment to
Mm-hmm.
talk about one more aspect of this show.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to borrow a page from another podcast I like called The Mutant Ages, where they are very unabashedly, unashamedly queer, and
Mm-hmm.
they have a segment where they talk about different X-Men shows and movies where they say which character is the gayest one today. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, they're more tongue in cheek than me. So like we talk a lot about serious stuff here, but we have
Mm-hmm.
some jokes and stuff. But I'm just going to speak, pretty frankly because I've said before. I don't know if people know, but I am queer, so I have a lot
Mm-hmm.
of opinions about queer representation and in media, and I definitely want to talk about this show because um I feel like this show did a good job, as many Marvel stories do, um, using a metaphor that can be interpreted in many ways. So
Yeah, certainly.
I don't want to apologize for what I'm about to say, but if someone disagrees with me, you have a right to your opinion. I'm just going to say that for me, the
Mm,
metaphor of Simon having to hide his powers and having this
mm-hmm.
relationship with with Trevor, it was very very gay to me. Like it was very very queer coded. Like
Queer coded.
like um like they didn't have to have like an explicit on-screen relationship for it to be queer coded, and like it didn't even
Right.
have to be like a necessarily a intimate relationship. It was just an emotional relationship. Like it was a bonding experience. Like whether it's
Right.
platonic or whether it's not. Like the point is that
Right.
as a black queer person, I could relate to a lot of it because, you know, all his life, Simon was trying to hide and repress a part of himself to fit in society and to obey the laws. And um, so then he meets Trevor at a showing of Midnight Cowboy, which, by the way, is a queer movie. Like that
Oh,
movie that they
snap.
were watching in episode one, that's a queer movie.
I didn't know that. Wow.
And so, like, for them to
That's
both
awesome.
meet there and bond over that is queer
Wow.
cinema. And then on
Yeah,
top of that,
that's lovely.
and it doesn't matter that Trevor is so much older and that Simon is so much younger. That actually happens a lot. You know, it's something that happens. And
No, it's true. The LD change the distance in age between two queer people absolutely is that yeah, that
and it
happens.
and it wasn't, and the fact that they were so connected on their love of acting and
Mm-hmm.
film,
Mm-hmm.
that bonded them in a way where their age difference didn't matter. It mattered in the sense that Trevor had more experience and was able to give Simon some, nuggets of wisdom here and there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, yeah, it's a
but
good point.
but overall, I just think,
I think a lot of it was
everything,
yeah,
like the fact that
yeah.
um, Trevor went to Simon's mother's birthday party,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody's like, "Why are you here?"
Yeah, yeah,
Simon has
yeah, yeah,
never
yeah.
brought a friend over to meet the
Right,
family. Like that's
right.
huge. Like if why did he bring you? Why did he choose you? Why are you special? Like, and he couldn't really explain it because he was keeping his own secret about like why he was there. But it was the fact that they had these secrets and they were bonding through these secrets, and they and then it progressed to the point where they are both sacrificing huge things for each other,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're like
Mm-hmm.
flying off together. At the end, it was like Superman,
Yeah, and
saving Lois
Lois,
Lane. Like
I
I
was
was like,
thinking the same thing. I was thinking the same freaking thing. Like, oh, snap. Like these two, this I was thinking that too a couple of times. I'm like, these two being so cute as a couple. Like I
right,
kept thinking that too. Like they were like actually it is sort of queer coded. You could definitely read it that way. I definitely like as a queer man myself, I did have notes of like being, oh, okay, I see that, but like it was like it's but I think it's like something one of those things that it's not really too hard to see if you have a part of that being your experience in some way. Like you could just pick up on the notes of that. Like I saw that and I was like, because the thing is like you don't you don't have such a bilateral way of thinking when you're queer. You allow that possibility to be something that invades the way you think about the things around you, and that gives you an extra radar. It gives you a broader like span of perspective to be like, oh, could these characters be queer? Could they not be queer? That question, that your back and forth seesaw of a question, that in itself gives you more perspective. It broadens your perspective. It gives you that space to think about things much more broadly and think about the experience of being a human being in love in a totally in like a larger sense. So I think that like and that was one of the things like I was really proud of when it comes to their relationship because I think that even if they weren't in a queer relationship, that just them simply being in a relationship in that way and having such an intimate relationship with one another and it being romantic, even if it's still platonic, is these all these things can still happen. You can still have a platonic relationship with the same sex partner, even an opposite sex partner, and have all the same problems, all the same issues, all the same ways in which a relationship can roll out. You could be a betrayal of trust. You have to work on that trust again. This happens in platonic relationships. This happens in romantic relationships, back and forth. And that's why I thought it was brilliant because, like, they could be queer. Why not? It could happen. It does make a lot of sense. Like, it does seem like they were,
I
but
mean,
also in the same
can we
case,
talk
they could
about the
just be
scenes
friends.
where they went to the callback, and then all of a sudden
Yeah.
everybody has to play their like a romantic dynamic,
Uh-huh.
like the
Yeah,
even
yeah,
the
yeah. It was
roles that they
great.
were playing. They're like the director's like, okay, pretend that you're lovers and you're having an affair, like
Yeah,
like
yeah. No, that was great.
that was pretty gay. And,
Yeah, yeah.
and then on
It
top of that,
was.
I gotta mention the scene where Simon, like episode 7,
Mm,
the news reporter is digging into his background. He ends up meeting up with his old girlfriend who left him,
that
and
too.
and
Yeah.
she basically says to him like,
Right.
"I know your secret,
Yeah.
and I understand, and I know why you
Right.
feel like you've had to hide." And like
Right.
that felt like a conversation a lot of
Mm-hmm.
queer people have with
Have.
people when they have
Yeah.
relationships and they don't necessarily know their identity. Um, like she was basically like she was talking specifically about his powers, but you could very
Mm-hmm.
easily interpret it as the fact that
Yeah.
his secret could have been that he was queer, that he
Right. No, I couldn't agree with you more. I actually think that that was actually the point. I think that like that is the point
yeah
also in a lot of cases to like kind of, but also like I think like yeah, I think like it also reverberates in a way in which like, it speaks to like as I said before, with black people showing any outward display of any sort of emotion and how difficult that could be navigating that and especially in the places that you take up as a black person that's very high that's very like white predominant. Excuse me. So you take someone like Simon, who's living in LA, that's mostly white people with money, the spaces that he takes up. So like him, showing up in a certain way as a certain type of person and as a black person in certain ways, especially when they show the contrast of his Haitian family, it says a lot about like how and what ways he still has to hold parts of himself back, secret and certain things that could be interpreted as a secret too. Not to take away from the queer element and like the themes around that, not at all. I just think that like that's also could be interpreted that way as well. And I think that that's what makes the show so powerful is that it doesn't tell you directly this is what it means. It's not like heated rivalries. It's not like this is what it is with heated rivalries. It's not that. It's very nuanced. It's like it could be this, could be that. It's up to you to decide. Like this is the gift that this show gives you for you to identify with this character in this way. And any way you need to identify with that character. And that's why I think it's just brilliant. I think it's absolutely brilliant.
agree. Like one more thing I
Mhm.
gotta shout out is
Yeah, yeah.
the actress who played his mother. Like she was
Oh,
doing
yeah.
like the way she
She's
had
so
such intense
wonderful.
emotions for her son, and she's like
Yeah,
and like she talked about him as a kid, and like how
yeah.
like he just what did she say? She's like, one time he told me, "Thank you, mommy, for just being there for me," and like
Right,
and he was like she was talking about how he couldn't be happy because he was just so kept keeping to himself, and like all she wanted was for him to be happy. So
right.
when he brought Trevor into their house, she ain't asked
She
questions.
didn't ask questions.
She ain't
That's the
suspect him.
point. That's a good point.
She just wanted her son to be happy. I thought that was really sweet. Like
That's a really fantastic point because I also, if you apply the themes around being queer to that, it even is even more like poignant and hits home much deeper. Like her just being like, I don't care as long as my child is happy and feels secure in himself or themselves, all that matters to me. That and I thought that was like really beautiful. Like I think she could have been my favorite character if it wasn't for Simon. I loved her so much. I thought she was the sweetest thing, and I thought that there were things did and said that was like really, really incredible, like little tiny moments with her that I thought were like so important and so powerful. I think the same thing with his brother. I think his brother was just.
I was just
I
about to
loved his
say,
brother's character. I loved that character. I even though
like
he was a pain in his
yeah,
ass,
like even though it was
I
the
loved that
entire
character.
flip of the situation, like whereas the
Right,
mom was so supportive, the brother was
right.
very like hard on him
Yeah, hard
and
on
like
him.
and questioning Trevor and everything. Is like, and you know what? He wasn't wrong though because like Trevor was there to betray Simon, and Trevor
Exactly.
like there is a point where you have to like you know
It comes from
consider
love.
what could. consider that somebody could not be a friend, even if you think they're a friend. So it's like, or that things might not work out. Like I don't know. Like I think his brother really portrayed the doubt that Simon had to carry in his life,
Hmm.
and then
Certainly.
to find out that even it came in episode 7 when the brother was talking to the reporter. Simon comes to find out that his brother also came around and was happy for him and proud of him, and
Right.
like that was really sweet too to see.
I think that speaks to like I think that was really wonderful too, but I wasn't surprised by that, believe it or not. I was actually I that was something that actually made the most sense to me.
I
I
was
think
just
his
surprised because, like, in
especially
the comic books, his brother is a literal supervillain who hates his
yeah,
guts
he
and wants
is.
to kill him.
Yeah,
He's called
yeah,
the
yeah.
Grim Reaper. So, like, I don't
Yeah.
know how many people were waiting to see, like, is he gonna turn to the Grim Reaper? Because that's what I was thinking. I'm like,
Hmm.
are they gonna go there? But they didn't go there with it, and I'm glad they didn't. Like, it didn't
They
have to.
don't need
So
to. Yeah, that's not necessary. I mean, like I said, I think the animosity between him and his brother is enough. And we've been in situations with our siblings feeling at times feeling like foes. And I think that that's like the point is like we can fabricate, these sort of like imaginary narratives that we build for our family members even, and sort of like, effectively turn them into our arch villains. We do that. Like we create narratives, and we like Simon did. He was like, oh, my brother's gonna do this, do that, do this, and then he didn't allow his brother to be a full three-dimensional person with his own trauma, probably around losing his dad, and probably trying to step up and be more of a father type figure for his younger brother. And like there's like that. There's also something that Simon, because he's so wrapped into himself, he doesn't get a chance to even think and consider that that's something that his brother may be going through. His brother might actually be trying to take on more of that role because his dad is gone. He doesn't even think about that as a possibility. He's too busy like in himself. And I think that that's like a huge. That's why I was like not surprised at all. His brother was like, "Yo, like I'm mad proud of him. He's dope." Blah blah blah. It made a lot of sense to me. I mean, a lot, especially if some white lady calling on some like, well, I want to talk to you about your brother. Like he going like a black family at that when
and
he's at
so
this high profile of a role. You think black family going to not hold him down? Of course
I
not.
agree 100%. Like that's a black family. We're gonna support each other,
Right. We're going to support each other.
especially when people are
Right.
asking questions. Like,
And
but
precisely white
to
people at
that
that,
point.
journalists.
And so to that point, I felt some type of way when we got the flip when he was talking to the reporter. Like all this time, Simon is thinking that the reporter is going to try to dig into his past and reveal his secret. Turns out the reporter actually is trying to dig into Trevor
Trevor's.
and
I like
get
that.
this on him. That was a
Yeah, I
cool
like that.
twist,
I like
but
that.
I did not like how I felt that the reporter kind of underestimated Simon. Like, oh, he's just a nice guy. His family loves him. He doesn't have a real past. Like, I'm not really interested in him that much. Like again, I think part of that is because he's black. Like, I mean, it's not explicit. Maybe that's just my own reading
I
of it.
agree.
But you know what I mean? Like,
No, I agree. Because he's also because Simon's the good black too. Simon's
right.
well spoken and he's smart and he's charming. He's good looking. As well as that, he's the good black. If he was like,
Like
if he didn't have it,
he lived up to her. Like he
her
fulfilled her idea
expectations,
of
her
what he was.
idealized,
She
right?
wasn't looking under the surface
Right.
because she didn't think there was much on the surface to
No,
look for.
to look for.
And I felt
Right.
some type of way about that, but
I think that's masterful writing.
yeah, I'm
Masterful
glad he
writing.
didn't. I'm glad she wasn't
Yeah,
digging into his secrets. To
yeah,
be
that
honest,
masterful writing because it subverts all that, and it actually, and it also speaks to how, when it comes to race, how that will change the narrative around things. How, like, just simply him being a black man and with the same conditions that a white person could possibly be under. You could flip those conditions and put it on a white man, and she might actually would dig into him and
we were
think
talking
differently
about how
about
she
him.
dug into Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Joseph,
She dug
right.
into
That's what
other
I'm saying.
actors.
White man, a white
Yeah,
man. That's the point. That's what I'm trying to say is that that is a brilliant point that you bring up. That yes, absolutely, because he's a black man that she was, and he's the idealized version of a black man. Like unless she was like, nah, he's good. No, you don't gotta blah 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 blah. It's like that's a brilliant point, and I think that that's on purpose. Like you don't write stuff like that without trying to like create a theme and a narrative around that. Like, because you're a writer, people in the writing room writing the show. I are brilliant, and I'm sure they thought about that sort of like cultural nuance. You can't not think about that when it comes to writing something like this magnitude, this highbrow. Like I said, it's too nuanced. Like I know a lot of cats like that don't understand what's going on with just like I don't get it. It's kind of boring, but it's a show about acting. It's like you don't understand how to pick up the themes. Like there's a lot of stuff that happens that people just it go over their heads. Like so many things like I watched that episode, I watched an episode of it and like 30 minutes go by and there's so many things happen, but nothing happens. So it's like you gotta like know what you to look for, what you should be looking for.
And like and
So,
not, and then we didn't even talk about, like, it was so it also had a lot of humor, it had a lot of heartfelt,
oh yeah.
I love that episode with found footage where they were chasing the guy with the GoPro, and then
Oh
the
yeah.
drug dealers were after Trevor, and then like they end up going to this guy's house, and they think it's like another drug den, but they're like, we just make candy, bro. Like, what are you
Yeah, it
talking
was
about?
great. That was
Mandarin
great.
oranges.
That's great.
That was
Yeah, I
so
love that.
funny.
Yeah, I actually love that too, man. I thought that was mad funny. I like love that whole scene. I thought that
That
was
whole
great. I thought
episode
it was
was
really, really smart. Yeah, man. That's what I'm saying.
the
The
whole
whole
show, the whole
series.
series, every episode was
I'm
great.
like really, really impressed with it, man. Like I gotta watch the whole thing over. Like I said, I
So
have to watch the whole thing over to like pick
yeah,
up more things and like I'm gonna write something about it because it's just too good. It's
like
too good.
I think, did we watch it the same way? Like we watched one episode each day, even though it all dropped at once. Did you watch
Once,
it all?
yeah. I watched it. I had one episode a day, but there'll be times that I watched maybe
Two?
two
Yeah, yeah,
episodes.
yeah,
Yeah,
same. Yeah, like
but
so.
that's the
Yeah,
most I would do is two, and it does make sense why they dropped it all at once. Like instead of it doing like one week doing, because like that in itself, like this type of story needs like it's better as a long movie. It needs to be like a mini series like the way they have it. It needs to just kind of be one compact story because it's one pretty
I tend
linear
to
story.
agree. Yeah, I think that, especially with these new characters or characters that
Right.
general audiences are not familiar with,
Not familiar
I
with,
I
yeah.
do think it makes sense to just drop it all at once so people can
hmm
watch it at their own pace. Because a
hmm
lot of people are gonna binge it. Like we're in a
hmm
binge culture, so like a lot of people did binge it. The same way they binged Echo, same way. Um,
They
well,
binged
I think
no,
Ironheart
no, no.
was
Yeah,
weekly, wasn't
Ironheart
it?
was weekly. I think
So
that was weekly.
I actually
Yeah.
prefer weekly personally because
Mm.
I do want these shows to have more of a long term
Yeah,
cultural
me
impact,
too. Me
but
too,
at the
me too.
same time, like we said, there are benefits to dropping it all at once, to letting
hmm
people just go at their own pace and decide, like, because I think that helps with the positive reviews. Like people were able to they were able to get to the end real quick, so they could kind of put their reviews out there and tell people it's actually a good show worth watching. Because if you have to wait week to week, then people get wishy washy and be like, I don't know where it's going. Is it good? And then people get real disappointed by the finale sometimes, because a lot of Marvel TV shows and movies, people don't think the endings are that strong.
Right, right. I
But
thought the
this show
ending
did
with this
something
was
completely
great.
different. Like it just was not like,
Yeah.
again, Marvel continues to try new things, and I applaud them for it. Like I hate the fact that people say Marvel fell off after Phase 4. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like
Mm-mm.
Phase 4 is when it started to get more diverse, when they started
hmm
trying more, more risky things. And like you can't complain that's all the same when they're literally doing different things each time. You got the Eternals, you got Thunderbolts, you got
Exactly. You got
um, Shang-Chi,
Shang-Chi. Yeah,
you
Shang-Chi
got
was
Ms.
like
Marvel,
still incredible. Yo, yeah, Miss Marvel and the Marvels. Like there's like so many good things that came out of this.
you got
Captain
She-Hulk,
America, She-Hulk. I love Captain America, man. I
you
love that
got
movie.
Daredevil.
And
Like there's
I
so many different,
Daredevil
like,
came back, right. There's
yeah.
so many good things. Like, I don't know, man. I think that like there's the novelty that for a lot of folks have worn off. And I noticed that a lot of people that are comic book fans don't read comic books. They're like comic book media fans. It's like
I mean,
people
I
that
just
like
think we
that
live in a
don't
time
read
where people don't
comics.
read, period. Like it's kind of sad,
Yeah,
but
we don't read people don't read period, but there's definitely like folks out here that think that they have just as much of a valid opinion or criticism about comic book movies even though they have never read a comic book or don't read comic books consistently. Maybe they read, V for Vendetta and then read like Watchmen and be like, yo, I read graphic novels, but that's not comic books.
I mean, you're
That's
right. Like,
like, yeah,
like
you know what I'm
I,
saying?
I don't want to be a gatekeeper and say like, well, you have to read so and so many amount of
I'm
comics to
not
like
being a
have a real.
gatekeeper.
But
It's
at the
a
same
different,
time,
yeah,
you're right. Like a lot of people don't, know the background of these characters. They don't have the experience of following them month to month or over a
that's
span of
right.
decades. Like,
That's right.
so like
That's what
that's
I'm
kind of
saying.
why I want to have these discussions
Right.
because like I want to amplify the voices of people who do read comics and who do
That's
have a
what I'm
love of it
saying.
and who will bring
Right.
some of the background knowledge. But you're right. Like, it's like that fine line. Like I'm not saying that someone watching this for the first time opinion is not valid. Like I actually saw a lot
No.
of people say I've never watched a Marvel thing before, but I'm going to watch Wonder Man. It looks interesting.
Mm,
And I'm so glad that it's reaching new audiences. I love that this show didn't require a lot of MCU knowledge to
agreed.
jump into it. Like
Yeah, I agree with
Wonder
that.
Man's brand new. I mean, Trevor has been in a few other movies, but like you didn't have to see them to get what was
No,
going on.
no,
And then like you got what Damage Control. Like they've been in a few
mm,
other movies, but again, you didn't have to see them to get what
no,
their role was. So
right.
this show did a great job of like bringing in new people, appealing to older people. Like it took the comic books, adapted it into something brand new. Like nobody gave a fuck about Wonder Man in the comic books. Like
Yeah, nobody cared. Yeah,
like
still
like
like
he's
nobody. He's like
like
a
I said,
B, like
he's
C list. Like
C
he's
list at
barely
most.
around like that. Yeah, he's barely around like that. That's what I'm saying. Like I think that
Um, on the
yeah.
queer thing, I gotta say, Wonder Man is one of the is a one of the first male characters to have a male on male kiss in Marvel comic books. When he
All
when
right.
Beast kissed him because they were like best buds. It's similar to Trevor and
Mm,
Simon. In the comic books, Beast is Simon's best buddy, and like
mm,
to the point where they had a little on-panel kiss.
interesting.
I mean, they were never written as gay. It was more playful than like romantic is how it was
Mm,
written, but it's still on record as like the first male kiss in Marvel, as far as I'm aware. But
mm, interesting.
yeah,
Didn't know that. Yeah, man. That's fascinating. But like I said, like but oh, but with the point we were making too about like the ways in which like comic book readers have a different relationship with like just more so engaging with the material around long form content and thinking about like building foundational information around like themes, story development, character descriptions, character development. Like there's like a different sort of relationship and different sort of way you train yourself to read these characters, read these types of stories. That when you watch a movie about these characters or you watch a movie in the same sort of vein, I think there's a part of you that's able to like have a reserve some of yourself for the next part of the story. Reserve some of yourself for the next part of this development and this character's journey. So, like, oh, something like, oh, Bane breaks Batman's back. Okay, wow, I want to see how that plays out. Oh, who's going to take on the mantle next? Oh, Azrael. Okay, well, what if Dick Grayson took the mantle? What would that look like? Oh boy, all I really care about is I want to see when Bruce Wayne comes back. So you keep reading, you keep reading, you keep reading. Then you get to the play. Oh, Bruce Wayne's back. Let's see how he handles getting his back broken and dealing with Bane. My point is like it's a long form kind of form of relationship with the character, with that world, with that story building. So like I think some people go into comic book movies, comic book media, and they're like, I I want to go into this, and I want to have a beginning, middle, and end. I want it to just be a typical movie, same sort of format, beginning, move, middle, end, and that's how I read movies. However, comic books don't move that way. Comic books are long form. Movies are a more short form of storytelling, and I think people have a hard time of making that distinction when messing with comic books
I
and comic
agree,
book media.
and that's why I love that they left the ending open. Like we said, it could go
Yeah,
anywhere from here.
right, and go anywhere. And I think the director said he's down. He wants to mess with a new season. Like he said, apparently he's thinking about the new season in different ways. So
Fingers crossed.
we'll see.
Did Wonder Man have a post credit scene? I don't even
Oh,
know.
I don't know. I didn't get a chance to. I should have went back. But here's the thing. I'm gonna rewatch it anyway.
Mhm.
I'll just wait till
I don't
after.
think
I
it
don't think
did. Like I
so.
was
I
watching
don't
it.
think it does. I don't think it does. But I
Yeah,
totally
it
forgot. I should
doesn't.
have like rock. I should have checked
I just looked
and
it up.
stuff.
It doesn't. Like,
It doesn't, right? Yeah, that's why. That
yeah.
makes sense.
Because I turned off my autoplay. I don't like autoplay, so like I watch it to like the end. Like I like to listen to the music. I like to see the credits. so
I heard
so
that.
I would have
Damn.
seen it if it had one. So that's interesting. They're breaking their own trends here.
Yeah, that is interesting. But I think that um yeah, I want to see how that like plays out. I don't know. Like that's weird. That's weird that they didn't actually have. Maybe there'll be something to that later on. Maybe there'll be like some way in which they play on that later. I don't
It'll
know.
be
It's
very
interesting.
interesting to see where Simon ends up next. Um, okay, let me throw this at you.
Mhm.
Do you want to see Simon get with Wanda in the way he does in the comic books? Like,
No,
I don't either.
not really. I don't need to see that. For what, man?
Right, like
No,
just I don't
no.
see that working.
No, it doesn't work. They barely even like, getting things like we just got to see what happened with Vision Quest first.
I mean,
Barely
Wanda
even
is
got a
technically
chance.
dead right now, by the way.
That is she?
I mean,
I mean, it's not.
technically,
It's not.
last we
It's not
saw her, I mean, she
confirmed.
could easily come back, but
It's yeah. It's not confirmed. I don't think she's dead.
I
I
mean,
just
they
think
all
she's
come
like
back in one
hiding
way, shape, or
out.
form. Robert Downey Jr. is coming back. Like, I mean, they can all come back. But all I'm saying, I've seen fans, you know, they're already trying to, ship them together. I'm like, I don't know, like, we don't really need that. I mean, I'm
No,
not against it for. I'm just saying, like, I just don't see them bringing these two characters together in that way. With all Wanda's been
no,
through,
I don't think.
with all Simon, like Simon's in a completely different world than her at this point.
Yeah, different world at this point in time, and so is like Wanda. Wanda's been on the Avengers, and it's like
Yeah, the
it's a
whole thing with
different. Yeah,
Vision,
the whole. Yeah, that's a whole.
White
No,
Vision is
I
about to
don't
have
think
his
they're
own
gonna
TV
do
show.
that. Yeah, right. That's what I mean. I don't think they're gonna do all of that. I think that it's already the stories are already convoluted enough for like the common audience for them to like even want to get to that place to like start telling that extra, you know, uh,
Okay, one more thing.
elaborate story. Yeah.
One more thing we got talking about that we have not mentioned. So in this show, I got a feeling early on. I'm like, is Simon a mutant in this world? Like, he's not
Mm,
in the comics, as far as I'm aware. But in
mm,
this show, they don't really explain how he got his powers. When we saw Doorman get his powers, I'm like, well, maybe they'll tie it to Roxxon because like Doorman got his powers from like some toxic sludge coming out the dumpster. Can we
Yeah,
talk
that's
about
what I
that?
was
I didn't
thinking.
really like how he
Yeah.
got dumpster powers, but
Yeah, I was kind of silly, but it was all right. Like they just trying to get the point across
right,
that he gets powers in some way,
yeah,
which is fine. But like
yeah,
I was kind of silly. And
yeah.
while on, like I've all played, they again like that's like another thread that they kind of are like leaving, like because they haven't even dealt with that character for how long? They haven't dealt with what is it? What's homeboy's name? That who
And,
owns Roxxon? Oh, God, what's
um,
that? Sam Rockwell's character.
um, yeah, was he
I forget his name. He was
Justin
in
Hammer?
Iron Man. Justin Hammer, yeah, he's from Iron Man 2 movie.
Does he run
But Justin
Roxxon?
Hammer's y-
Maybe I couldn't remember.
yes,
I
yes,
thought
he
he did
does
Hammer
own
Industries,
Roxxon.
but it could be the same freaking
I
thing,
think yeah, I'm pretty sure he owns Roxxon. I'm pretty sure it's him.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
they could bring him back. That could be interesting. Or
If
did he
they
die?
want
I
to,
can't
but
remember.
they ain't, like I said, they ain't gonna bring that character back.
I mean, they brought Ben Kingsley back.
That's true. That's true. That's true. That's true. Oh,
You
that's
never
I mean,
know
I
with
don't
Marvel.
know.
You never know.
Yeah, you do. You really don't, bro. You really don't. So.
And that's what I love about it. Like they keep even longtime fans like us guessing. Like
No, it's true. It's true. It's true, man. It's true. That's what I'm saying. Like there's potential, but I don't know. I we'll have to see how that plays out. I really just want them to stick the landing with is it Doomsday that they're doing the new one that's
yeah.
doing coming out. It's like that's next year, right? That's not even
That's
this
this
year.
year. It's December. It's
Doomsday is
planned
this
for
year.
December
Oh,
of
that's
this
right,
year.
December.
Of the first part, and then it's like a second part.
Yeah, then the second part, yeah, because
But
back to my original point, like comic books are long form and movies are short form. Movies are meant to be consumed in 2 hours, and then that you move on. Like comic books are 60 plus years old,
people don't even have an attention
70
span
plus
for
years
two
old.
hours these days. I hear people
Precisely.
complaining
Right.
about that.
Yeah,
So
that's what I'm saying. Like you don't even got attention span for that, but people want to be mad at how comic book movies and shows are being done, but you don't have the attention span to even read a comic book. It's like whatever. So it's
right? Like,
like, okay,
I think
bro.
this show is. I think people are definitely in the mode where like the thing that they can handle it seems is shows that they can binge. They can pause after 30 minutes. And
Yeah.
if they want to, or they can keep
Control,
going.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, control over what they're watching, and
yeah.
because their attention span is just not there, so you can't just like, sit and watch. Like it's hard to like get people to like actually, put their full attention to something these days. I mean, like I'll be at the movie theaters and seeing people on their phones, not even just like locked into the movie. You can't even give yourself that time, like 2 hours, just to
That's
like
why
lock
Simon
into a
was
movie.
mad at Trevor when they first met because he was on his phone talking
You
all
know, on his
loud in the movie
phone
theater.
talking, yeah,
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
he was like, calm down. I'll be quiet once the movie starts.
Yeah, man, it was real though. That's real though.
Yeah.
Man, that's super real, bro.
This show was so real, so good.
Yeah, man, it's so real. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was brilliant, man. Yeah,
Um,
I gotta watch it all over again.
okay, where do we think we'll see Simon next? In the Avengers movies? In the future X-Men movie? If he's a mutant? Like what's going on here? What do you think?
I think honestly, the best he'll get like Easter eggs. He'll get like little callbacks. They'll like, oh, like you'll see like a trailer with you see a trailer with him in it, or you'll see like you'll see, a marquee with his name on it, something like that. I don't think they're gonna bring him back in
Hey,
any sort of like
I don't think we got to talk
capacity.
about Marvel Zombies, but did you get to watch Marvel Zombies?
No, not yet, actually. That's on the list for me. I didn't get a chance
Okay.
to yet, man.
I loved it,
Mm,
and I don't think it's a spoiler to say that they used a lot of MCU characters who haven't gotten a follow up yet. Like, have you heard about that?
no.
Okay, well, I won't get into it, but like the cast of Marvel Zombies is basically all the MCU characters that we needed to follow up on, right?
Whoa.
So that I mean, if you want me to list some, I could, but if you don't want me to, I won't.
Let's give me like three.
So
'Cause
Ms.
I actually
Marvel
do
is
have
a
to
big
go.
one.
Miss Marvel?
Yep.
Whoa.
Shang-Chi is a big one. And they even brought in Blade. Like everybody was like, when are they making this Blade movie? They're like, but here they give us Blade as a fully formed character. Unfortunately, Mahershala Ali is not in it. They get a sound alike guy to play him, and they don't even really make him Blade necessarily. They also make him like merge him with Moon Knight, which is crazy. It was interesting. Like it was like I've been of the opinion for a long time that Marvel hasn't done Blade yet because they don't want to just do the same thing as the Wesley Snipes movies because the Wesley Snipes movies were great and they allowed this whole MCU thing to be in existence in the first place. So like
They
they
set the
still hold
standard.
up. Like you can watch them right now. Like I watch them
They
all the
set the
time.
standard. They set a
Yeah.
standard.
So
That's why they're
so it's
afraid
hard
to
to top
touch
that.
it.
That's why Wesley
Yeah,
Snipes came back in Deadpool Wolverine, being like, "There will
right.
never be another Blade other than me."
Right,
It's
right. That's
like,
what I'm saying. Yeah. That's
but
fair.
I mean, we still hoping that we get a Mahershala Ali Blade
But
like
like
real.
the only I mean, you gotta keep in mind like that's why Blade worked because of Wesley. It worked because of Wesley Snipes.
Yeah,
Wesley Snipes is a bad motherfucker, and that's why it worked.
it
He
was
actually can
so
fight in real life.
yeah,
He can act.
yeah,
He has range in acting. He's done everything from comedic acting to Tu Wong Fu,
right,
all the
yeah.
way down to like Jungle Fever.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like he's New Jack City. Like he has range, and he can fight, and he's in good shape, and he has physique, and he has star presence. He had it all, every possible thing. He's the picture perfect casting for Blade.
So like, how do you
Perfect.
top the first
How
Blade
do you top
trilogy?
that? How do you top that?
I don't think Marvel
Now,
has figured that out yet. That's why they're trying to pivot into doing something that we haven't seen with Blade yet.
doing
Like
something else.
they're trying to
Yeah,
pivot to
yeah, yeah,
Midnight
yeah.
Suns, and that honestly that
Hmm.
is the MCU's
That's a
strength.
better move.
Like
Yeah, that's a better
that's
move.
the MCU strength, bringing characters together. Like that's why when they brought in Spider-Man, you know, it it was different because he was bouncing off of all these other Marvel characters. Because all the previous Spider-Man movies, it was in Spider-Man's world. But I don't want to go on too much of a tangent. I just want to
Hmm.
say I do
That
think it's
is that
possible.
is their strength, though.
I think it's possible we might see Wonder Man again in something similar to Marvel Zombies. Maybe something animated. Maybe something that brings the random threads of the MCU together if we don't get
But
a season
to be honest, like that's always been Marvel's strength. Like if you think about the team up books, even in the
two.
60s and the 50s, 60s and 70s, it's like they were the first ones to do like the Avengers. And then DC was like, oh, word? All right, we're gonna do the Justice League. Like we can't have them just out here
Wait,
doing
wait,
the
wait.
Avengers. Like I'm pretty sure that was that it was that way over. And then like because first it was like Doom Patrol and then the X-Men show up, but that's like Doom Patrol's is
Doom
before the
Patrol and X
X-Men.
Men are like they're like neck and neck, and like
Neck
people.
and neck. People say like who know it could
But
be one or
I
the
do
other.
think Justice League came before
Justice League might have came
Avengers,
before the
but not like
Avengers.
a long time. I'm not sure. Like,
I think you might be right actually. Now come to think of it, yeah, I think you
well,
might be right. But either way,
wait, they
like
were close as well. They were
they were
close.
very close. But I think like but they've always done it better. Like that whole conflict. That's why we have better teams. Like they have X-Men
I
and
mean, Marvel just
Avengers
leaned
and
into diversity earlier than
diversity.
DC did.
That's
Like,
all.
I think
Yeah.
that's a big factor
hmm
as well. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I love Phase Four and all the phases since. Like, that's why. I mean, I love the old ones too, but I
It's going
definitely
to
love
age well.
having more representation and good representation. Like interesting stories like we didn't talk about the fact that people have a lot of opinions about representation in Marvel. Like there are people who are not watching Wonder Man because he's
Right.
race bent, and these are black
Mm,
people. Like
yeah.
do you have an opinion on that, or should we just kind of just not
Well,
talk about
not really. I actually think that that makes sense. I mean, like, I think that, you know, I think that the whole race bent thing is something that is something that a lot of black people and in a lot of cases have a lot of like a little bit of resentment about, and I think it's fair. I do think
it?
it's fair,
We
and
talked about it
I
last
don't.
time. We talked about it
Yeah, I
all
think
the
it's
time.
yeah. We talk about it all the time. I think like why black people will say stuff like why don't you just go make your own character? Why you gotta type shit? And it's like because like the that's that's where the alchemy lies. Black people, in this country in particular, have always been forced to do something against their will. So when you understand that you have limited options and you take that the options that you're given and then you reinterpret it and you re-edit and you change it, you remix it into something else, and then make it your own and make it yourself and make it in your image and your likeness changes everything, and it redefines like a lot of things for a lot of people, and I think that there's power and alchemy in that, and I think a lot of black people like um don't even want to go down that road and consider the ways in which that could be useful because there's been so much that have been taken from us. So we're very protective of what we could do and how and what ways that our culture is very important and it doesn't get the proper like support and shine that it deserves. And like, so like we become very fiercely loyal and fiercely protective of our culture. But I think conversely speaking, without like these types of things, like we wouldn't have characters like Mr. Terrific, right? Who I've written about in detail about like how he took his identity from a white man and reinterpreted it into what we know today and what it is now and how important that is. How important
Well,
it is
Wonder
like
Man is
for a lot of
doing too.
people. What Wonder Man is doing, precisely what Wonder Man is also doing. It's the same sort of thing. It's like when you're completely locked out of a space as a black person and only things that are available to you is whiteness, you have to find a way to identify yourself in that space even though you're not represented. That's something that constantly happens, like constantly happens because white people constantly control the narrative around what is appropriate and what's not. We talked about this at the beginning of the call, and that just plays out, and that's why black people have to say, all right, well, I have to just make my own way in this space. You know what I'm saying? Like it can't just be that like I have to wait for the opportunity for me someone to create something else. You know what I'm saying? Like it can't just be that. It cannot just be that. I mean, yes, it can be that. That also needs to happen. We also need Static Shock. We also need Icon. We also need M Bishop. We also need Deathlock. We also need these characters. We also need John Stewart. We do need them. However, we also like need people to like we need a John Stewart. We need like a character that's taken the mantle from Hal Jordan
Yeah, like
and is doing his own
we
thing.
got at
We
least
got
three types of characters. We got
thank
original
you.
black characters. We've
Right.
got legacy characters like John
Yep.
Stewart and Ironheart,
Ironheart, and Mr.
and kind of
Terrific,
sort of
and
Wonder Man. But then we
yeah,
also
Wonder
have
Man.
Race. Like Wonder Man is kind of a mix of two and three because he's race
Yeah, he's
bent
race
of the
bent.
comics, but he's legacy in the context of the show.
Hmm.
So, but it's kind of an interesting middle ground. Like they did, it was so funny. Somebody online was like, "Wait a minute, so his name is Simon Williams, but he's playing Wonder Man, who's also named Simon Williams." Like that made me think because like I don't think they actually mentioned Wonder Man's name in
No,
the
they don't.
show as a character.
Mm-mm.
They just call him Wonder Man. So like,
Wonder Man.
so Simon Williams is himself, and
Right.
he becomes Wonder Man the character. But is he going to be Wonder Man the superhero? That remains to be seen. Like he only had like two or three superhero moments in this show. So
Like I said, and I actually like that. I
yeah, it was
like those types
interesting.
of characters. You see, I think that like I like that more that lately more so in a lot of the stories that I've been reading about my protagonists, in which protagonists actually are doing something that is like more like self-driven, like
Mhm.
for their own personal reasons why they think something is important for them to embark on. I think that it says more about the quality of their character rather than it just being that they're doing it because they believe in some sort of sense of greater good. I think that's too easy, and I think that's too easy to fall into it, like the character to fall into a trap around how in what ways they can take on larger, be conditioned by larger ideas, larger cultural ideas that are not their own and then they have to reckon with that. So like someone like Superman, right? Love Superman. He's one of my favorites. However, he's caught up in that sometimes. Sometimes you have that character that, oh, I believe the common good, and then he like gets confronted with how the common good is relative to every single person. Like that, not
It's
everybody
in a
has
different way.
a
Like they need
common
to
good.
change that because it was
Right.
too
And
limiting.
that precisely, and it became too limiting to him. And that's why I'm saying, like, I like those characters that, like, all right, well, for me, like, I'm putting on because I think this is important for me. Like, like someone like that's why Spider-Man stands the test of time, is because like these are my values. Spider-Man's like, this is my personal value. That with great power that must always come great responsibility. Like this is my personal value, no matter what it is. It's like in
But it was
that
instilled
trait.
in him by who?
His uncle, his
Uncle
uncle,
Ben.
Uncle Ben.
It always
But that's
comes
what I'm saying.
back to
Yeah, but that's the point. Is like, yo, like boom, like this is where my values lie. This is not what I believe a common good is. This is not a value is something that's personal. That's individualized, personal to you. You know what I'm saying? Like connected to family, culture, whatever. Personal nonetheless. Instead of it just being like, this is something I give up to the rest of the culture that I'm a part of. Like, oh, everyone believes in this sense of
I think I
justice
have
and good and
heard that
right.
like value, like you said, something personal to you, whereas a moral is
Yeah,
something
a
that's
moral.
cultural and still by
Thank you. A moral is
religion or
cultural, right? A moral
peer
is
pressure or stuff
cultural.
like that.
Precisely. A moral is cultural, which is always subject to change because generations go on and morals change. And my mom is 83, but when she was, and her when she was 16, 17, 18 years old, as a woman, a young girl, like wearing bikinis morally was wrong for girls to do, right? But yeah, it's still like that in her value system. She was just like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to put myself out there because I don't want to possibly be ridiculed for the way that I look because I don't want that type of attention for what that's like that builds into a value around how you think about yourself in the world you take up rather than it being like, all right, this is just my morals because everyone tells me that this is wrong. Like that's a different thing. And that's why I'm saying like when you have a character like Spider-Man, Spider-Man straight up is like, these are my values. This is what I believe in to be right. No matter what it is, I take this level of accountability and responsibility for whatever it is. That's why he blames himself for every goddamn thing. And that in itself is that's the hero's problem is that they're too self-centered. But that's like what happens with Spider-Man. It's just like everything, like shit goes wrong with Mary Jane, it's his fault.
I
Green
was
Goblin's
thinking
out
about
here
that yesterday,
wilding, his fault. It's like, nah, dog, they're grown adults. They also accountable for
right?
their actions too.
And that's
You don't think of it
I
that
agree
way though.
100%. I was just thinking about this yesterday because I was reading the new Iron Man run, Iron
Yeah,
Man number
yeah.
one, and
Okay.
he was doing the same thing that Peter Parker does, oh, it's my fault that the bad guys kidnapped somebody because they kidnapped the person that I was trying to promote. Like, well, that's their choice. Like, they did you
Yeah,
didn't
dog.
tell them to do that.
You tell
Like
him to do
sometimes
that.
there comes a point where you gotta like not. I think black people in particular, they don't be putting stuff on. We don't be putting stuff on ourselves. That's other people's problems. You're
We can't. We can't.
can't
We
bear
don't
that.
have the same. Yeah, we don't got the same latitude for that. We don't
I
get. We
mean,
don't get
sometimes
that.
I mean, I'm not.
Sometimes we do. This is
Sometimes we do. I'm
different.
not saying it's all or nothing. I'm just saying that I noticed that growing up, like reading Spider-Man, like over time, I realized he really does like have a very strong guilt
Yeah,
complex,
guilt complex. He's like,
and
I
like
should.
that's
It's me.
and that can transfer onto a reader. Like I felt that when I was
Oh
younger,
yeah,
until I
certainly.
realized, I can't think like that all the time because it's actually harming me.
But
Like,
that's why I think that's another part of it. Like that's why I've been heavy for Luke Cage. You know what I mean? I will always be being angry for heavy for Luke Cage because like Luke Cage was like, nah, y'all
bro,
need to pay
I'm
me,
wearing my Wonder Man colors, but
no doubt.
underneath though, I got my Luke Cage shirt on
See?
today.
That's right. My man right here. You are my dog. That's right. That's what it's about right there. Because
Yeah.
Luke Cage is like, nah, dogs, pay me. What you mean? Pay me. You want me
Give
to
you
be
what
this
you
like,
owe me.
pay me what you owe me. Right, pay me. You want me to be, I will be your hero, but I'll be for hire. Pay me. Pay me. Like you trying to tell me I need to do for the moral good? Nah, dog. Like, what did you do to my body? You put me in the carceral system. You have me. You think that because I'm big and black and strong and powerful and beautiful that I owe you something? I owe you my body, more of my body? No, pay me. That's why I rock heavy with Luke Cage. He understands that he's in a capitalistic system and it's out to get him. So he says, you know what? Nah, I'm gonna actually use that against itself and actually derive some value out of that, give that back to myself. You've already taken so much from me. So no, you pay me before I do
He ain't
anything
scared of anybody.
else.
He'll run up to Doctor Doom and be like,
Right. Yeah, right. That's
"You
right. You go up
owe
to
me
Doom and
some
be like, you
money."
owe me. Pay me. That's deep. That's deep. That's what I'm saying. Like that's deep.
I
That's like
mean,
that's beyond Dr. Doom. That's like this is a capitalistic system that I'm trying to make sure that I get my just due for. These reparations,
I was
son.
about to say,
You
I was just about to say the
know
same
what I'm
thing.
saying? That's reparations. He's like, I ain't. That's why I bang heavy. That's why it's my dog. That's
I mean, and
reparations.
Watchmen too. Like they lived in a world where black people actually did get reparations.
Right.
Like that's
That's what I'm saying.
Afrofuturism there.
Afrofuturism, bro.
Like you
And that's
had
what I'm
black people in the
saying.
writers' room.
Right. That's beautiful. That's what I'm saying. Like, nah, dog. Like, don't miss me with that. That's what I'm saying. Like, you could keep that Peter Parker bullshit over there. Like, that's what I'm saying. I love Peter Parker too,
I love
but
him too.
all of
Yeah,
that,
but
all
like he
everything's
does have
about
some
me. Everything.
neuroses, um,
He's a white boy, and
he
he's
got the
like thinks
awkward white
everything's
boy
based. He's a
skills.
white boy. He thinks everything's about him. White boys think everything is about them. Everything. They're taught all the time. The world around it reinforces that everything's about them. Everything. So like if something goes wrong, it's my fault, my fault. Everything's about me. What? Like you think everything revolves around you? Even Spider-Man. I'm talking even to Peter Parker. You got all these dope powers doing, but guess what? You go up the block, you go to Hell's Kitchen, Daredevil's holding that down. You go a couple blocks further, you go to the Baxter building, Fantastic Four is there. You go a couple blocks downtown, you go to Astor Place, you see the Sanctum. It's like, dog, you don't hold down all of Manhattan. Stop this.
Right.
But yeah, still he thinks he does. This white boys, this yeah, that's all it
I
is,
would
dog.
love for us to get more another day have a
Yeah,
conversation about like
yeah,
Spider-Man and the burden of responsibility and what that
yeah,
means.
yeah,
But we're gonna have to save that for another day. But
yeah,
thank you
man.
so much for joining me today to talk about Wonder Man. Your insights
Of
have been
course.
amazing, always on point.
Appreciate you,
Like
man.
it's always a great conversation. Um,
Indeed.
I want to thank anyone who has listened thus far. Like again, we ragging on people for not having an attention span, and I can see how long people are watching these videos. Like I don't know how many people are reaching the end, but if you are here, thank you. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
Give us a like. We'll
Yo,
appreciate you even more. A subscribe. Like we're just happy to be here another day to talk about things we love and enjoy. Like that's a blessing in and of itself. And yeah, it's just really a joy and an honor to be able to talk about these things with a friend and with the friends we have virtually. Like,
Yeah, I agree.
um, I'm just very happy. So thanks again. And any
Yeah, we
final
do.
thoughts you want to share before we go?
Yeah, man. Just like go out there and read some comics, bro. It's Black History Month. Read some Black
Some
comics.
black comics by black authors and
Black
creators
authors.
and
You
writers,
understand? Like
artists.
you got we doing this, bro. We've been doing this. We've been doing this. Go read about like historical black writers and comic book artists like Jackie Orms. Read
And be
about
right.
her. You know what I'm saying? Like she's dope as dope, the truth. Like she's just the truth. Like one of the first to ever do it. Read about her. Read about like, other art, other writers, other black prolific writers. Read about Priest. Christopher Priest is a G. Read about him. He's still
And
doing it.
Howard. Like there's
You
so
know what I'm
many.
saying? There's
Yeah.
so many. Like you dig? Like read about the
I mean,
God.
Dwayne
Dwayne
McDuffie, the
McDuffie.
Dwayne
The
McDuffie, rest in
God, the
peace. Like
God.
rest
That's
in
what I'm
power.
saying. Read about the Wayne McDuffie. Read about this. Like, understand that these are people that lived, breathed, walked, and lived on this earth and had like brilliant and powerful insights about what it is to be a superhero in this society. Go out, read about them and their lives, like take just quick, like, or even if you want to make it hard, make it easy, go to ChatGPT, just type in their names, and they give you a quick little dossier about some things that they've done, and then from there, read one of their comics. Open
So
your
I
whole right.
personally, I'm not a fan of ChatGPT. I'll say
I agree, but
go
Google
to
it.
right these days. I'm saying go to Ecosia or go to DuckDuckGo because like I don't even trust Google no more to be honest.
I respect that. No, I like that. I'm
But
about to do that myself. You
but
see,
but then again, we all gotta do what we gotta do in this day and age. So I don't judge nobody really, unless you're somebody like he who shall not be named. I'm gonna judge him.
no, yeah, it's
But
real.
anyway, um, thanks again. Like you said, read more comics. Hopefully, we might have another DMV Comic Club this month here in February. We'll see. If not, then we'll just come back in March because the goal is to do at least one a month. So we'll see. But
I think we should get it on for a couple of weeks. We should do it. I
yeah,
think
we
we should
gotta
rock.
get some comic
Be
books in this
great.
month. So
We gotta do it.
until next time, my friends, Excelsior!
Excelsior.
Bye, everybody.